So hey guys, welcome back to the Just Fiction channel. This is a story about what if post-Fourth War Naruto in Highschool dxd. If you guys enjoy this what if, and you want to see the next video, comment down below. And let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content. And leave a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And also share this video with your friends. And check out the description. And check out my playlist. So let's start the video. Chapter 1. The Age of Shinobi is finished. Yes, he is Nanadame Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Savior of the ninja world, Naidame Rikudo Senin, widely proclaimed as the Kami no Shinobi. Undoubtedly, his reign as the Hokage, which came just a year after the Fourth Shinobi World War, was the most peaceful reign in all of the Hokage as yet. So it not only brought about growth and prosperity to Konoha but due to his ties in almost every major or minor village, to the shinobi continent as a whole. This, though, also led to a decrease in the want of shinobi. Even if the Hokage's system prevailed, shinobi died out. Technology took over. Each country had their own standing army now along with a small force of chakra users. His successors, Konohamaru Sarutobi, Sarada Uchiha all had reigned well as Shokage and brought the village to new heights. They had a family of their own now. It was time for him to go now, time for him to return to the one place where he truly belonged. Naruto had found out that he had stopped aging about 2 years after the war ended. A most anomalous happening, even for the one most knucklehead unpredictable shinobi. With a few tests from Tsunade, a dive into the Hokage archives and a visit to the vaults in the ruins of Yuzushiogakure with Karen later, he found out who he really was, a devil. The Uzumaki clan truly never was a part of the elemental countries. They had actually ran away from their true dimension, facing purge during some kind of civil war, and by their superior mastery of sealing, had literally hopped dimensions to arrive here. Their bodies adapted to the world where humans could control chakra over time. The Uzumaki longevity wasn't just any normal genkai. It was something which was present in all the devils. The gene of immortality. This was a secret so closely guarded within the Uzumaki that it wasn't made known even to the Senjus who were their cousin clan. Hell, even many Uzumaki within the clan were unaware of the secret. Naruto had found all of this in clan documents along with his mother's sword, the Crimson Ruin, and something that looked like a shogi set deep within the Uzumaki vaults. He later found out that he could use it to reincarnate regular humans as devils to make a part of his peerage. Naturally, he turned to the people who had been by his side by far the longest. The Rookie 11, or what was left of them, arguably the best crop of Konoha genin to graduate in a long time. These were Teams 7, 8, 9, and 10. Previously led by Kakashi Hatake, Kurina Yuhi, the now deceased Asuma Sarutobi, and the veteran shinobi Might Guy. After the war they had kind of found each other, and enlisted together in the ANBU forces as a single unit. ANBU Squad Rho, frontline assault, tracking, stealth and assassination and capture along with TNI all rolled into one 11-member squad. Karen had joined Konoha to be a part of the Uzumaki once again. She was now more like a cousin to Naruto. The war had taken a toll on everybody. Granted, nobody could come out sane after going through such a traumatizing experience at the young age of 17. Even in their profession, where the first requirement was to throw sanity out of the window the moment you stepped in. They weren't alone in this regard though. ANBU enlistment was at an all-time high after the war among shinobi. It gave them the rush of adrenaline, kept them sane. Being in constant life and death situations gave them a kick which allowed them to cope with the PTSD that everyone suffered from. Everybody knew that they would get back up sooner or later, but until then, this is what kept them living. They would keep going and get back up stronger one day, or die trying. Needless to say, Team 7 agreed in an instant. Sai, who he had gotten closer to during his time in Team 7, was ready to follow him. Kakashi said that it would be too boring without his cute little genin and agreed in a monotone sort of voice, but you could see the grim determination he had. Sakura had been one of his wives after the war, so she naturally agreed. Shikamaru, who had been his advisor during the time as Shokage, said it would be too troublesome if he went there alone. He would need someone to guide him after all. With him, Team 10 and Temari followed. Hinata, who had been one of his wives in this dimension along with Team 8, also decided to come along with him. Both of the remaining members of Team 10 were orphans. The war had claimed Niji's life and left Guy-sensei crippled. They had no one but each other left, so they tagged along with the rest of their friends. Tsunade, who was almost like a mother to him now, couldn't leave the only link to his teammate alone, had decided to come as her protective motherly instincts took her over. Even though she had been like his surrogate mother, to Naruto she would always be his dear old Bachan. No amount of thrown paperweights and thrown chairs would change that. Looking over to his village one last time, he let out a tired, yet happy sigh. His mind was finally at peace. It had taken 17 years and a long bloody war to finally gain what he desired the most, recognition. More so than wanting to become Hokage, he had wanted people to acknowledge him for who he was, rather than who was inside him. The desire to become Hokage had stemmed from the desire to be acknowledged as someone, and now here he was, hero of the Fourth Shinobi World War, Nanadame Hokage, and savior of his kind. People from all around the elemental nations came here just to take pictures of him. The dream of true peace which his godfather had envisioned was finally here. But the scars that the war had left were still there. The horrors of war refused to leave him behind. Even today he had nightmares when he woke up in the middle of the night in cold sweat, the trauma and horror of the war which would not leave him and let him be. Naruto couldn't help but think of his best friend's death. His brother in all but blood. Sasuke Uchiha. Flashback. The war was finally over. Madara had been defeated and Team 7 had sealed away Kagaya along with the help of a redeemed Obito who had sacrificed his own life in the process. But sounds of explosions and the cry of battle could still be heard from the Valley of the End. It was here where two titans clashed. Just as Obito had predicted. Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, Indra Otsutsuki and Ashura Otsutsuki. They had used everything in their arsenal up until now, from Nine Tails mode to Susanoo armor, planetary Rasengan and Amaterasu. But they were equal on all levels. Sasuke, stop this madness. We can still talk this out. The only conversation that will happen here will be with our fists, Naruto. It was at this moment that Naruto knew that his once best friend had lost himself into darkness. He had gone in so deep that there was no redemption now. Both of them were bloodied, bruised and battered and on their last legs now. Their battle had changed the landscape of the vote, just like Hashirama and Madara. Sasuke charged up a Chidori while Naruto had a futon, Rasengan in his hand. They both ran at each other, intending to clash for the final time. Chidori, Rasengan, wind trumped lightning. The Rasengan tore through the Chidori and Sasuke's hand, leaving a bloody stump on what used to be a shoulder. Sasuke fell to the ground, and Naruto caught him. Hey! Don't you black out on me now, Sasuke. Stay with me, Sakura-chan will be here any second now. Sasuke let out an emotionless laugh, but it came out as a bloodied cough. His right lung had collapsed. You and I both know that there is no hope for me now, Naruto. But Naruto didn't let him finish. No, Sasuke team. I won't have my best friend leave me now. Not after so long it took me to achieve all of this. Listen once to Yujiro Tanki. We Uchiha are a cursed clan, plagued by our emotions of hatred. You were my brother in all but blood, just like Itachi was to me. I want to give you a last parting gift before I leave, and he poked his forehead, transferring chakra from his eyes to Naruto's. His cerulean blue eyes gained a sapphire tint to them, his eyes showing the EMS that Sasuke possessed. The curse of hatred that plagued the Uchiha will die with me. It will be your job as Naruto Uchiha to bring back our clan to glory under the Konoha banner, free from this curse of hatred. And with that, Sasuke Uchiha breathed his last, with a content smile on his face. Flashback ends. Bastard pulled off an Itachi on me, Naruto thought, giving out a mirthless chuckle, as his eyes flashed crimson, showing the atomic spiral that his friend and teammate once had. It was quite ironic, they had called him a demon before he became their savior. None of them had any idea about how right they were, and now it was time for him to leave. Demon, monster, hero, savior, god, and now devil once again. He let out a hollow chuckle. Naruto Uzumaki has come full circle. He heard a voice behind him that said, Naruto, it's time. Sure thing, Kakashi-sensei, just looking over the village one last time before we leave. As the rest of his peerage made themselves visible, Naruto couldn't help but feel something stir up deep inside of him. These were his comrades, his brothers and sisters in arms. People who would give up their life for him in an instant, for whom he would give up his life in an instant. Thinking that it would probably be a right time to say something, he said, all the people who are present here right now are the ones who are closest to me, who have stood by my side these past years. There is no one else I'd rather trust to watch my back. So I wanted to ask you people, one last time if you are willing to, will you accompany me as a part of my peerage? So we gain some uber cool powers, become immortal, travel to a new dimension, and in return all we have to do is what we do as an ANBU squad already. Fuck it. I'm in, Arf. Nodded Akamaru in agreement. Sigh, I've already been your advisor when you became a Hokage. I guess I'll just have to stick around a little longer so that you don't end up doing something stupid. It's because of you that now I know the meaning of true friendship. You have helped me make true bonds with everyone in this village and pulled me out of Danzo's darkness. It would be an honor for me to be a part of your peerage. Everyone in the room had gone silent as Sai had begun speaking. Out of nowhere, Lee shouted out, his left hand clenched in a fist, tears spilling out of his eyes as his lower lip quivered. YOSH. What a youthful moment this is. Kiba leaned over to Sakura and Ino and whispered behind his hand. You know, he does that one more time, and I'm calling gay. Shut up. You baka. Don't ruin the moment. Sakura and Ino said together, as Ino pulled his ear and Sakura bonked him on the head. Their husbands were not gay. Thank you very much. Naruto let out a nervous chuckle as he said, Whoa! Didn't know you could go so deep. Turning to everybody, he said, just a heads up if you still have any doubts. I don't care if the peerage system looks like it produces slaves. This will change nothing between us. We will still be Team Ro, the most badass ANBU team in all of Konoha. Turning to Tsunade, he said. Okay then, let's do this. A bright light had engulfed the ceiling matrix over which they had once stood. With a faint buzz and a crimson flash, the Rookie 11 along with the Godame and Rokudame Hokage disappeared off the face of the elemental nations. Chapter 2. Rias Gremory couldn't believe her luck. She was a devil, wasn't she? Shouldn't that give her some points above others? In her opinion, whoever said having the devil's luck did not consider her in mind when they said it. She had just arrived after a meeting with her brother and parents from the Gremory Castle, and it did not go the way however she planned it to be. It is sufficient to say that she was not pleased. Her peerage hadn't shown a lot of growth in terms of number or strength. Akino still hadn't been able to use her lightning powers to their full abilities. Kaneko, though strong, was a Nekashu who didn't want to do a thing related to Senjutsu. Kiba had his own problems, and she still had trouble teaching Gasper on how to control his powers. She had her eyes on a certain pervert who might contain a powerful sacred gear, but even training him could take months, and that was after he could be reincarnated into a devil. The playboy of the underworld still hadn't backed off from their supposed engagement. Her only hope was to challenge him to a rating game, but even she knew, deep down in her heart, that with her peerage as it is now she would lose. And to top it off, the hot water supply to the ORC HQ had broken off, which meant no hot water showers for at least a couple of days. Yeah. Not a good day to be in Rias Gremory. Flashback. I have said this 1,000 times before Oni-sama, and I will say it again. I will not marry Riser Phoenix. Rias said as she entered her brother's study, her tone rising and growing more venomous with every syllable she uttered. Believe me, Riatan, I don't wish for him to lay a single finger on you. But even if I am Lucifer now, my hands are tied. This was a contract made before your birth, and the Devil Society needs it. Did somebody even think of what I needed? I should get a say in who I want to spend the rest of my life with, don't you think? Unable to take it anymore, she stormed out of the castle. Flashback end. Rias was cut out of her musings when she felt a strange power enshroud the entire area, making a warm, fuzzy feeling run down her spine, but as soon as it came, it was gone and it left a pure shockwave of residual energy, throwing her off her feet and rattling multiple cupboards and cabinets in the clubroom. She got up, and summoned her entire peerage, and went off to check the source of this strange power, not bothering to correct her disheveled hair the shockwave had left it in. She was pretty sure that it was sensed over all of Ko by now, and if she knew her correctly, Sona wouldn't be far behind from where she was. Meanwhile, with Naruto, a purple portal opened up in thin air on the outskirts of the town of Ko, and out came Naruto's entire peerage, who looked to be in no better conditions than himself. Naruto Uzumaki was in a tight spot. He knew he should have used land at the end of the ceiling array. Thankfully, he was able to restrain Kakashi-sensei from erupting all over him. Seriously, that guy needed help. He surveyed his surroundings, immediately going into battle mode but relaxed when he saw no hostilities in the immediate surroundings. Wow! That did not go as well as I thought it would. I told you the ceiling array should have ended at land, not jump, you brat. The others untangled themselves from the mess that they had made themselves as well and started to try and figure out where exactly they had landed. Oh, come on! Everything was going so smoothly, but then that shockwave came out of nowhere. Ino groaned in annoyance as she tried to fix her hair. Where exactly are we? Asked Sakura, not recognizing the place where they had landed. It looks like we have landed in this small town called Ko in the country of Japan. They have a language similar to ours and follow albeit somewhat similar customs to what we did back in the elemental nations. From what previous information we have gathered, this is a devil stronghold, being ruled by the Gremory and Citri clans. We have basically intruded on their territory, we better be on our guard. Shikamaru drawled out. Suddenly Akamaru let out a low, menacing growl. Kiba's ears perked up as he sniffed the air. Guys. We've got company. Naruto immediately went into his ANBU captain mode, as others had dubbed it. Report. He barked out. 2 groups, one from the west it seems, a total group of 4, containing 3 females and 1 male, while the other is from the northeast. This one is a pair of girls. I sense high magic power within both groups. Contact expected in 4 minutes, the group sensor, Karen replied. Everyone, team formations. Mask your presence. We don't know if these are friendly. No use running now, our energy is all over this place. Better not give them a trail to follow. Once we get out of here, we begin our work. Now go! Naruto ordered. It took less than a second, but everyone had left the clearing with either a flurry of leaves or a flash of crimson, leaving no trace behind. Soon after they were gone, two groups landed in the now empty clearing. The larger of the groups was led by Rias herself, who was flanked by her queen, Akino Himejima, and her rook, Kaneko Tujo. Bringing up the rear was her knight, Kiba Yuto. The other group consisted of the Citri clan heiress Sona Citri, and her queen, Tsubaki Shinra. Rias and Sona walked up towards the clearing and started surveying the area. So you sensed it too, didn't you, Rias? It was more of a statement rather than a question. All the way from the clubroom, Rias replied. There is still a lot of it left over around the area. We should take some as samples. The 16s enhanced their devil powers and felt around, trying to get a hold of what exactly was that caused this mini whiplash to occur in the first place. What is this energy? Tsubaki questioned, not being able to put a finger on the dense chakra, which enshrouded the entire clearing like a dense fog. It feels like magic, but there is a large amount of chakra that is lingering in the air. A yokai maybe? Kiba questioned. Or a devil who has somehow managed to get an unknown species of yokai into his peerage. President, there is something else. What is Kaneko? I sense senjutsu in this place, a large amount of it. But it is different. It feels more calm and peaceful. That only reinforces the idea of this being some unknown yokai. We can't do anything about it now. Everyone just remembers this magic signature and keeps a lookout for it. And just like that, they were gone, their respective clan teleportation circles appearing below them. Once they were gone, the genjutsu over the area faded and Naruto and his group appeared once again. That would be the Gremri and Citri heiress if the clan circles were anything to go by. Shikamaru answered the still unasked, but lingering question everyone had. We will deal with them later. For now we have work to do, you all know your jobs, get to them. Naruto replied, and they disappeared once again. 2 weeks. 2 weeks was all it took for Naruto and his peerage to form a solid identity in this new world and learn its ways. But given Naruto's ability to abuse shadow clones like anything, a few well-placed and discreet henge and Sharingan-enabled genjutsu, it was a given. He used this time to travel back to the elemental nations and bring back his remaining wives and transfer the funds from the Namikaze and Uzumaki vaults from there to here. The Sharingan helped greatly in this regard, putting all the way 2 inquisitive eyes in a deep sleep while he exchanged all the gold for this world's hard currency. He still left a generous amount to his sons and daughters back home. Currently, Naruto stood in the living room of his lavish, 3-story mansion that he had purchased soon after coming into this world. Tomorrow would be the day when he officially made his entrance into the devil world. He had already met up with the current ruler of devils, the current Lucifer, Surzex, who also happened to be the brother of one hot redhead named Rias Gremri. It had mainly been to claim any inheritance the Uzumaki might have left in the underworld and gain access to the Uzumaki vaults. He also wanted to reopen the Uzumaki clan compound down in the underworld. The meeting had been, in one word, interesting to say the least. Flashback. Surzex Lucifer eyed the young devil that had requested a meeting with him on the prospect of bringing a clan thought lost to the underworld back to its rightful place among the 72 pillars of the devils. He wore blue shinobi sandals, dark blue shinobi pants, and a green flak jacket over a mesh shirt. He also had his father's cloak along with his mother's signature katana, strapped to his back. Graphia Lucifuge eyed the odd bunch before them. Both of them could sense immense power rolling off them in waves. It made both Graphia a tad bit nervous. There were traces of magic in it, but it wasn't the predominant force within them. It was chakra, a powerful energy source only accessible to the Yukai faction. The amount of it coming off the youngest of the one was so much that it wasn't even funny. Well, it was befitting for an Uzumaki after all. Tsuneade straightened herself and gave a look to the others as well. As Naruto's queen, she thought it to be her duty to guide her king. She hoped to make a formal and proper introduction and bring things on track while they met with the current Satan. She opened her mouth to speak. Greetings, my name is Tsu, but a whiskered Jinchuriki beat her to it. Yo! How's it hanging? A few moments earlier, with Naruto, Uzumaki was in a tight spot. Again, he had never been in such a place before. Yeah, sure, he did meet up at the Kage summit after the war, but they had fought together and had come to know each other quite well. Reikage-ji-chan was pretty cool, even if he was a bit of battle crazy. He had been on good terms with Kuratsuchi as well. Mei was a different story altogether. She always talked with him in an extremely sultry voice and would always be too close and ahem. Physical and greetings for his comfort, but she was a good person and an amazing ninja. He and Gaara went back. He was more like a brother to him now, status notwithstanding. He had obviously not been in a room in such a situation before this. So he pondered for a moment on what he should say. When in doubt, go Kakashi. Yo! How's it hanging? And he raised up a lazy one-handed salute, showing one of his infamous, foxy grins. If you could see inside Kakashi's mindscape, you would find a masked Kakashi holding banners and small fans and doing a mini victory dance as he spilled anime tears. My student has finally taken on the cool and hip way of the shinobi, Naruto. Tsunade asked in a very sickly sweet tone voice that promised pain of the highest order. What have I told you about opening your trap when we go and meet foreign dignitaries? Don't do it? Naruto had now backed himself up a corner near the wall while Tsunade walked towards him, her eyes glinting, knuckles cracking as an ominous purple aura surrounded her. Then you will do well to remember it, brat. Tsunade shouted as she punched the wall near his head, cracks appearing in the wall where her hand made contact, making the blonde shiver. The entire devil group just sweat dropped on seeing the entire scene unfold before them. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. My name is Tsunade Senju, queen to the Uzumaki clan. This is one of our peerage's knights, Kakashi Hatake, and the man-child over there is my king, Naruto Uzumaki. Greetings, Tsunade-san. I am Surzex Lucifer, the leader of the devil faction, and this is my queen, Graphia Lucifuge. Lucifer said as he sat behind his table, his fingers intertwining together under his chin. The strongest queen gave a small bow of acknowledgement. I must say the name Uzumaki hasn't been heard amongst the devils over here in a long time. It was a name held alongside the Gremri and Citri as one of the most powerful. To claim to be descending from a line of such high-class pure-blooded devils, do you have any proof to back up your claims? It was a logical request. In Naruto's opinion, he had been Hokage once. So he knew he couldn't just take things at face value. So he summoned his peerage using the teleportation circle. Seeing the infamous red spiral light up once again made both Lucifer and his queen eyes widen. But why after so long? And what was this strange mix of chakra and senjutsu he sensed from the entire peerage? Devils shouldn't have the ability to mold chakra like that. Very well, Mr. Uzumaki, have a seat. I believe some questions are in order. One long-ass explanation later. That is a very interesting turn of events, Uzumaki-san said after hearing Naruto's and the Uzumaki clan's story up until this point. The possibility of another dimension, completely separate from their own, was a fascinating thought for him. And for the Uzumaki to have traveled far into it, it was simply amazing. He mentally chuckled. There was a reason why the Uzumaki were called masters of sealing. There was no other like them, and while the concept of child soldiers and human weapons was a bit unsettling to him, he couldn't help but admire the young Uzumaki and his peerage. The young boy, no. Man, he reminded him so much of himself, in ways more than one. He could sense that he withheld great power, almost on the same level that he had. He also commanded the same respect and admiration among his people that he did amongst the devil here. When he first asked him what he would do with his peerage, he said that he would protect them with his life. They would be his comrades, brothers and sisters in arms. What did he call them? Yes. His precious people. But do you know what was the most striking feature that reminded him of himself? It was his eyes. Eyes that have seen the horror that war brings to people. Eyes that have seen the light of life fade from their comrades' eyes as they depart for the afterlife right in front of them. Eyes that withheld great sorrow. But they also had the determination to move mountains. A look that showed that the man wouldn't hesitate an instant to sacrifice everything he had for his people. Eyes that held the promise to bring everlasting peace. It was the same look he had during the Great War. And just like himself, he hides all that pain and sorrow behind a mask of goofiness and childish humor. Those were the eyes of a true leader. He even saw some of his memories, his battle prowess during the Fourth Great Ninja War, his drive to protect his precious people, even his relationship with 4 of his girlfriends. How the people admired him, worshipped him even, but he never let any of that get into his head. He saw so much of himself in him that it was uncanny. The same insane amount of power, the same desire for everlasting peace. Even though he was born in a land where kids were trained with martial intent and had gone through something number 17-year-old should go through, he knew that he would protect his little sister with his life if need be. He was a damn good choice over Riser. Already a plan was forming in Satan's head. It was time that he acted like the older brother he should. Very well then, Naruto-san. I will see to it that the clan compound is unsealed and the funds are transferred in your name. Ko Academy is the devil's stronghold. I suggest visiting it. My sister and Seraphil's sister both attend the same academy. It wouldn't hurt you to gain some allies while you start your devil journey now, wouldn't it? Flashback end. Alright guys, as much as I hate to say it, tomorrow me and Shikamaru will be attending school. It will give us a chance to gain more insight into this world, and if we are lucky, we might also gain some really good and powerful allies in the process. Since it is of no use for all of us to be concentrated at one place, the rest of us will explore the area and scan for threats, if any. Even though this place looks really peaceful from our old home. So basically, Everybody else is free to do what they want. Look around and learn. Just stay safe. Tomorrow would be the day the Uzumaki rose once again. Naruto and Shikamaru walked through the gates of Koa Academy, ignoring the various comments being passed out about them as they entered the school grounds. Where they came from, they were used to them anyway. Hey, who are the two new guys? The brown-haired one's hairstyle kind of reminds me of a pineapple. He looks to be half asleep. Kaya. The blonde looks so cute. Those birthmarks look like whiskers. Whatever. He looks hot. Ignoring all the sighs and squeals of adoration from the females and the hated glares from the males, both boys moved towards the main building. Well, time to see what this academy has to offer. While Naruto and Shikamaru were making their way through Koa Academy, they were also being watched by two devils from the window of the ORC building. What do you think about him, Harius? Sona asked. Their presence had been quite obvious to them, even before they had entered the main gates of the academy. A fellow king and his pawn. The fact that their energy signature matched exactly to the one they had encountered a few weeks ago made this all the more interesting. It is quite odd to see one of us here. He doesn't seem to be someone who could be hostile though, and he may be just looking around. After all, this city is our stronghold. It is known to have multiple sacred gear wielders. Do you plan on meeting him? I'd rather use the wait and see approach for now, see what he is up to. I'll deal with him later in my own playful way, Ria said with a smirk as Akino let out a giggle behind them. The young devil was extremely powerful, no doubt about it. This was not necessarily a bad thing. Powerful acquaintances now would soon turn into strong allies later, and by Satan, she would need them, considering what was soon about to happen. Very well then, I will be taking my leave then. Era, things are surely about to get interesting around here, aren't they, President? Yes they are, Akino, yes they are. I'll be seeing you around, Devil-kun. Walking through the huge crowd that Koa Academy attended to had been a pain, but Naruto and Shikamaru had finally been able to find the classroom they were supposed to be in. Classroom 2B. They were waiting outside the door now, waiting for the teacher to announce for them to come in. Class, we have 2 new students this year who will be joining us. I expect you to treat them with the same respect you showed to all of your current peers here. The teacher said. Come in, both of you. Almost all the girls instantly had hearts in their eyes when they saw both of them enter the classroom. The boys though, Shikamaru and Naruto would have been ash flying in the dust right now if looks could kill. Especially from a certain perverted trio. While with Naruto, it was a given considering his foxy grin he always had plastered on his face and his ability to make friends with almost anybody. People would be surprised to know that it was a similar case with Shikamaru. It had started off back in Konoha in wake of Pain's attack on the village, but in order to boost morale within the village and also to get a sizable chunk of his slowly growing fangirl population, Naruto had let it slip the girls about him being a secret genius, with an IQ of over 200. Shikamaru's own lazy, carefree aloof persona didn't help in this matter as well. If at all, it only helped his fan base grow even more. There was a certain charm in those half-lidded, yet attentive eyes that appealed to the girls back home. In Naruto's opinion, it was one of the best pranks he ever pulled, right in the list with painting the Hokage's monument, and knocking back Irika-sensei with his sexy ninjutsu. Instantly they were fired with questions ranging from where you are from to do you have a girlfriend. Shikamaru began first. Well, my name is Nara Shikamaru. I like taking naps, playing shogi and cloud watching with my friends and girlfriend. Not necessarily in the same order though. I particularly dislike anything which would cause a lot of work menduks. Naruto, mustering up the best Kakashi voice he could, began. Yo. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I have many likes and I have a lot of dislikes. As for my dream, well, there is no need for you to know that now. The entire class, which had been on the edge of their seats to know about this new kid, almost fainted. All they learned was his name. What kind of introduction was that? Very well, Uzumaki-san, Nara-san, you both may take the 2 empty seats beside Issei Hayadu. While both of them went to sit in their respective seats, Rias's mind was running at 100 miles a minute. Uzumaki, where had she heard the name before? She was trying to remember it exactly where she had heard about it when the king turned to her and gave her one of those grins he had given at the beginning and waved. Only one thought came to her mind even when the smile left her all flustered and flushed up, though she was too busy to pay attention to such a detail. He knows. Chapter 3. Frustration. Utter, absolute, mind-numbing frustration. This was the only thing going through one Rias Gremory's head as she glared at the chessboard in front of her. And it was clearly visible on her face as well, if the veins popping out of her forehead and the way she gritted her teeth were any indication. The entirety of her peerage started to back away from her and move towards the door leading to the exit, hoping to make a quick unknown escape. Her opponent, Sona Citri, couldn't help but notice. So she asked, anything on your mind, Rias? It's them. The red-haired Gremory heiress replied, in a mixture of anger, exasperation and irritation all rolled into one. Ah. I see. How has your wild little goose chase been? Sona knew who she was talking about, the two now infamously dubbed Knights of Ko Academy, Uzumaki Naruto and Nara Shikamaru. Both of them had grown quite a reputation in Ko Academy. The blonde Uzumaki, though average at anything academic, had literally blown away all competition in any and every athletic and outdoor class. Even Matsuda, who used to be a kind of sports star in junior high but now joined the photography club, shook out of his perverted funk once to compliment him on his skills. He was fairly decent, if anything. But the other boy, Shikamaru, was someone she had a beef with. He was someone who was basically against everything she stood for. She could easily see that he was calm, analytical to the point, and was in fact a genius. Even more so than her, she begrudgingly admitted. But the way he acted was completely different. The boy slept through classes, rarely completed his homework, and was happy to be average at everything he tried, more likely was forced to do so, while he could excel and be one of the best. She had once seen him and the other devil playing chess during one of the breaks, and challenged them both to a match. The Uzumaki boy had been relatively easy to beat, even if he made tactics up on the fly and played in an extremely unpredictable manner, which she had to admit did lead to a few close calls. But she had won in the end anyway. But the other one was something entirely different. With the same lazy, uninterested expression on his face, he had beaten her in all but 7 moves. Enraged, she had challenged him again, and leading up to the same result, this time beating her in 5. Those who had seen the match happen had been utterly flabbergasted. To see the Sona Kaishu being beaten, no, crushed in a game of chess wasn't something they had expected. There was something just utterly humiliating about being beaten in 5 moves. She hadn't given up though, she refused to back down, so she challenged him every day since then. Sona Citri prided herself on being the more disciplined one of the 2 devil heiresses of Kuo. She dealt with facts, numbers, and logic. They were her one true weapon. She used them to extract and validate her opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And she used them to her advantage to win. But the young pawn seemed to be a variable. She now saw through those seemingly drowsy, half-asleep eyes of his. They had a certain gleam. Gleam which she knew she had on her own when she sized up her opponents, only his was much sharper, like a predator. And let it be known that Sona Citri hated variables. Meanwhile, Rias had taken it to send out her familiars, her peerage members, their familiars to trail after the odd devil duo after the academy. While every day in the academy Sona would challenge Shikamaru to a match of chess. The score so far had been 5 in his favor and a draw. He had been able to predict 4 moves before in the same lazy, bored monotone of voice before he got up and left, muttering something about how that troublesome blonde woman would beat him to a pulp if he were any later than he already was. After the school they would lead their followers through an almost never-ending chase throughout the busiest parts of Ko Town, seemingly going everywhere and nowhere at the same time, moving in circles more than once, while finally ending in the most busiest, heavily crowded part of the town and vanishing into the crowd, disappearing and leaving no trace behind, like a ghost. Sometimes she could even see the faintest tilt they both sent in the direction of their stalkers, a slight smirk on their lips as if they acknowledged their presence, just before they disappeared into the crowd and vanished into thin air. And so the little game of cat and mouse went on for the remainder of the entire week, with the cat achieving as much success as it did on the first try, and the mouse mocking it at every turn. Both of the groups had yet to make any kind of formal contact. It was as if they were sizing each other up. Sona understood it quite well. This was a battle of wits. Both of them were just teasing each other, waiting to see who would break first, who would make the first move. Sona was half tempted to just end this little charade between the 2 of them and call them out. But she decided not to. This has become far too interesting now. Sona Citri was a master amongst devils of her age at mind games. And she was a prideful one at that. She would see this to the end, see how far this goes. Who knows, when this all is over, she might get herself a powerful ally in the near future. Little did she know that it was soon to end, and when it was over, she would be getting the biggest shock of her life. Any idea when we are officially going to introduce ourselves to those 2 cute little devil Shukage-sama? Temari asked, sarcasm dripping from her voice. Don't know Temari, I must say though, it's been way too fun leading the pretty boy, his pet cat and those weird summons of theirs throughout the city. Won't you agree with Shikamaru? Naruto asked as he sat with Hinata on their couch. I don't know why you would do that, Naruto, rather than outright going to their faces and just telling them. Shikamaru replied as he stifled a yawn, while his head rested in his wife's lap as she twiddled with his hair. It was quite past dinner, everyone else had already gone to bed, his other wives having taken a reinforced shadow clone with them. Their previous encounters bring a shade of red to match Kurama's fur right to his cheeks. Anything else interesting happening in town? Kakashi said he had a little confrontation when he met the Governor General of Fallen Angels today, a guy named Azazel. Now this was news. Naruto sat up straight, his previous calm demeanor now all but gone. It was nothing serious really. He had come in investigating a strange new energy signature in town when he followed Kakashi. He called him out on it. They had a little chat, I suppose. We should send out more scouts. I think there is a piece of rogue fallen angels in the area, along with some stray exorcists, Shikamaru said, as he got up to leave. Naruto too decided to turn in for the day and got up when a hand grabbed his wrist and pulled him down back on the couch. His head wife is on top of him, straddling him. And where do you think you are going, Hokage-sama? She asked seductively, as she planted a long hot kiss on his lips, dominating his tongue with hers. Pulling up from his face, a thin, barely visible line of saliva connecting their lips, she said, I believe you and I have some unfinished business to attend. With a long melodramatic sigh, Naruto flipped their positions in no time and brought his mouth down to her sweet spot on the base of her neck, eliciting a low, sensual moan from her. It's always the quiet ones, isn't it? Naruto thought. He was in for a long night. Issei Hayate couldn't believe it. He had a girlfriend, a real girlfriend, with whom he had spent his first date. It had been the best way to end the deep, monotonous existence of his brief 17-year-old ladyless, porn-filled life. Yuma-chan was the very embodiment of the word perfect. She had a slender body with a large bust. There she stood, in front of him, in her school uniform, which consisted of a dark red jacket with the letter P embroidered in gold, a white undershirt, a red bow, and a green skirt with a thin white stripe around the lower end of it. And while her breasts were nothing like the two great Wanisamas had, they were nothing to laugh about. It took nearly all of his will not to ogle at them and listen to what she was saying. Issei-kun, I have a request, she said as she got closer to him. She was close to him now, oh so very close. Sure. Ask away. Anything for you, Yuma-chan. Issei had the most perverted grin on his face when he saw her lean down towards his face, the heavenly valley between her perfect breasts visible to his eyes in all of their uncensored glory. Will you die for me? Issei took a step back in confusion as the sweet innocent smile Yuma sported just a second ago turned into a deadly sneer. Her clothes changed from the cute schoolgirl uniform she just wore to her black fallen angel outfit as wings sprouted off from her back and she kicked Issei right in the chin as she flew back off, summoning a light spear in her left hand as she landed a few feet away. Rainier, now in her true form, let out a small tittering laugh as she said, Sorry Issei-kun, it was fun while it lasted, it's really a shame that I have to kill you. She looked at the small pink crunchy and slash. I dunno what that purple thing is called, that Issei had given her on their date. I'll always remember you. If you want to blame someone, blame the gods who put sacred gear in your body. And with that, she threw her light spear towards Issei, piercing his heart in one go. He fell down, coughing blood. A lot of thoughts were going through Issei's mind as he fell. About how he was going to die here, how he never even got to grope a pair of real boobs before he died, how his one true wish of having a harem of beautiful ladies by his side will always remain only that, just a dream. As he lay there, dying and lamenting in sorrow over such other R-rated thoughts and dreams, he saw a girl land beside him. Her hair, it's so red. Just like my blood. Issei Hayate, do you wish to live? Before Issei could let out a gurgled reply, Rainier, who apparently had yet to flee, spoke from a distance. Ah. Yes. I see the Crimson Princess of Ruin. Master did say something like this might happen, sorry Rias Gremory, but that boy cannot be allowed to be reincarnated into a devil. As if on cue, about 20 or so rogue priests landed around the group, ready to attack at a moment's notice. Rias, who was kneeling beside Issei, grit her teeth in frustration. If she were alone here, these all would be no more of issue than cannon fodder. But with an injured and dying Issei right here, she couldn't be sure if she would be able to protect and fight at the same time. And the perv needed to be reincarnated now, or else it would be too late for him. A light spear made its way towards the duo. Rias spread her wings and became ready to fly away from its trajectory, or brace herself from its impact. But apparently neither was needed as the blonde she had been trailing for the past few days suddenly appeared in front of her, and grabbed the light spear with his left hand and destroyed it. She then got a good look at his hand, which was bathing in some sort of orange flames covered by purple armor, and just imagine Naruto's hand which punched Tonari covered with Susanoo armor. Unknown to everyone present, Naruto and Shikamaru had been tailing the group from the very beginning, masking their own presence. Now, fallen angel-san, we can't have you skewering the younger sister of a Mao like a kebab, can we? So I'll be polite and ask you and your lackeys to leave, before anyone here gets hurt. Shikamaru looked at Naruto and motioned towards Issei, who surprisingly was still breathing. Rias has used the time she had got to perform the very basics of first aid and was in the midst of reincarnating him into a devil now. He surprisingly took all 8 of her pawn pieces. Well, more hurt than they already are. Rainier, who had suddenly become intimidated by the arrival of the 2 new young devils, took a step back. These two were not your run-of-the-mill devils, she could see that much. The blonde in front of her had a similar aura to that of Azazel. He might look all cheerful and sunny, but he just had that commanding battle-hardened aura that practically screamed obey. This was not clear to the rogue priests around because they charged towards him, head-on. Honestly, what were these guys thinking? Did they have a death wish? Rainier was proven right in her assumption because even before they had even taken a total of 5 steps towards him, half of them were pierced with spears extending from their own shadows. Kegen Nui no Jutsu success. My turn, was all Naruto said, as he charged up a Rasengan and vanished in a crimson flash. Not even a second later, the remaining priests were dead, each with a gaping hole through their chests. Ignoring the fallen angel, who had decided to hightail, Naruto turned behind and looked at Rias, giving off his same equivalent to 1,000 light bulbs smile as he helped her stand up. And finally, we met Rias-san. The name's Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 4. Considering the time, it was quite unusual for all the activity that was happening around the occult research club room right now. Rias and Sona eyed the group of devils that sat before them. Issei had been healed and sent to his home. All he would remember about all that happened tonight would be mostly a bad dream, until Rias introduced him to the world of supernatural, and his new way of life, of course. The Uzumaki king sat with her and Sona at the table, while his pawns sat beside him. Behind him stood his queen, leading over the rest of the peerage behind her like some sort of leader. Tsunade Senju was a fair-skinned woman with brown eyes and straight blonde hair that parted above her forehead. Her hair had shoulder-length bangs that framed her face, and the rest reached her lower back. The strength of 100 seal taking the appearance of a violet diamond shape clearly visible on her forehead. She also wore a grass-green haori with the kanji for gambling on the back, inside a red circle. Underneath she wore a gray, kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matched her pants. Her blouse was closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage. She also wore open-toed, strappy black sandals with high heels. But it was not the king, his pawn or the queen that would have caught the attention of any person who would have decided to walk in on them at this moment. It was the rest of the peerage. Their choice of dressing, to be precise. All of them wore exactly similar uniforms, which consisted of black clothing, a gray flak jacket, metal arm guards and gloves, sandals with spikes, 3 pouches on their back waist, which Rias was sure would have contained a few lethal weapons and a signature spiral tattoo on their shoulder. All of them wore black hooded cloaks over their uniforms, which were now open to reveal the snarling faces of ferocious animals on porcelain masks. All of them carried a short sword strapped to their backs, which had the signature red Uzumaki spiral etched on its base. They moved with the grace and poise which could only have belonged to someone who had gone through rigorous military training. As they moved through the rooms and occupied their positions, not a sound was heard, sans the slight whoosh of chilling night air that blew in through the open window and caused the fluttering and billowing of their cloaks as they took their places. All in all, they painted a very spine-chilling picture together. Needless to say, the rest of the members of Rias and Sona's peerage were a bit intimidated by the scene they projected together. Here you go, Uzumaki-san, my own special blend of tea. Thanking the raven-haired Busta Queen for the tea, Naruto began. Very well, Rias-san, I believe we haven't been properly introduced yet. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the only remaining heir to the Uzumaki clan. The woman behind me is Tsunade Senju, my queen, and the rest of these people are my peerage, he said, finishing off with a charming, foxy smile, which left Rias and her queen flushed and a bit red in the face. I must say, Himejima-san, this tea is exceptionally well made, he said, complimenting the girl for the excellent brew. Akino brought up her left hand to her face and let out a very girlish, ladylike giggle. Something about the man that sat in front of her just entranced and puzzled her to no end. Era, there is no need to be so formal, Uzumaki-kun. After all, we are fellow devils and classmates here, aren't we? You may call me Akino, Akino-chan, she said, as she kept her left index finger below her lower lip and bent closer to him, bringing her generous chest as close as she could. Only if you call me Naruto as well, I was never the one for formalities. Naruto then gave her a cocky smirk, and disappeared in a crimson flash, reappearing right behind her and spoke in her ear, his hot breath sending shivers down the Lightning Queen's spine. Oh, and a friendly advice, Akino-chan, never bite off more than you can chew. He was back then at his seat faster than anyone else could blink. Rias decided to stop her queen before she went too far. Though she had to admit, the reddish-yellow blonde, spiky hair and blue eyes did kind of make him look cute. Wait, where did that come from? Meanwhile, Naruto and Shikamaru observed the 2 young devils and their peerage that sat before them. The way they smiled and laughed together showed that these heiresses did not consider their peerage to be beneath them. This was not just a normal master-servant relationship. She truly did consider them as family. This was good in his eyes. Seeing no further reason, He looked over to Tsunade and nodded, who in turn ordered the other members to get rid of the masks, which they did. And I'll be skipping the individual introductions. Let's just consider they are happening in the background as the following events happen. Well then, I believe we should move on to further negotiations then? Asked Sona. Rias gave a shrug, and as the other members of their respective peerages mingled together to introduce themselves to each other, 3 kings and a pawn moved to a side to talk. The name Uzumaki sounds strangely familiar. Rias trailed off, as she eyed his clan crest. Well, a simple blood-red spiral is quite easy to forget, unlike hers. Sona filled in the gaps for her best friend/rival. It's the Uzumaki clan, Rias. They disappeared during the last civil war. They specialize in sealing arts and kenjutsu. The teleportation matrix which we use today was said to have been developed by them. Naruto couldn't blame the redhead. The Uzumaki had been away from mainstream devil society for far too long now. It was only natural that people would forget about them. He had been through a similar situation back in the elemental nations after Yuzushiogakure had been destroyed. Honestly, he was a little surprised that the Citri heiress knew so much about him and his clan. Oh well, it only meant more work for him. He liked it better. Working from the bottom all the way to the top rather than just arriving here and being handed over everything like a prince. It had a sense of accomplishment to it. It's okay, I assure you. Though I must say, we are much more than a bunch of hyperactive redheads who love seals and swords anymore, which is pretty evident from the strange mix of magic, chakra and senjutsu you possess. Let's just say that the Uzumaki have been placed and leave it at that. Naruto said, not wanting to reveal all of his cards all at once. As you can see, I already have a completely trained, full peerage here. My only goal right now is to bring back the Uzumaki clan back to its original days of glory and respect amongst the 72 pillars that it used to be. That is quite an ambitious, almost impossible dream, for an almost extinct clan. Sona replied, her voice devoid of any condescending tone, or even pity. She was merely stating the facts. It isn't the first time I've decided to do something impossible. It won't be the last either. Shikamaru added, as much as disbelieving it sounds, where we come from, the Uzumaki are known for doing the impossible. A mental image of Naruto punching Kagaya after using the reverse sexy harem flooded into his mind. Repressing the shuddering thoughts, he continued. Honestly, I don't understand half of the shit this idiot has pulled up and got away with until this point. Very well then. I admire your dedication. If nothing else, Naruto-kun, I hope we won't have any problems in the future. I'll make sure that a copy of Territory Division for contracts is sent to you so that we don't have any unwanted standoffs in the future. Which also reminds me, you need a cover like Sona has for the Student Council and I have for the ORC if you wish to conduct meetings for your peerage? Nah, I'm cool without one. Only Shikamaru and I will be attending the school. Any of the meetings we wish to hold can take place at the Uzumaki compound. For now, you are welcome to join us here at the Occult Research Club anytime you wish, and I urge you to do so. I'd say the same for the Student Council, but some people here are way too lazy for their own good. But still, do not be hesitant in asking for help, should you need anything, Naruto-san, Sona said, her sentence ending with a glare towards Shikamaru. Mendokus. Naruto gave a small laugh at his best friend and advisor's behavior. Same old Shikamaru. The offer sounds quite enticing, Rias-chan. Who knows, I might just take you up on it. Well, you will need all the acquaintances you can get in your foray into the Devil Society. So if you would let me have the pleasure of being your first one. Rias said, holding out her hand, with a certain odd gleam in her big emerald eyes, which all pointed towards something bigger being planned here. This did not go amiss by Naruto. There was no reason to refuse now though. Alright then. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Rias-san. The pleasure is all mine, Naruto-kun. She returned the firm handshake. One similar talk with Sona later, Naruto and his group was about to leave, before he turned around and said, Oh, and Rias-chan, there's one more thing I'd like you to know, which we Uzumaki live by strictly. Nothing is impossible, just statistically improbable. Ask your brother about it, he should know. And so they left, the familiar spiral lighting up the room once again, leaving only Rias and Sona in the room. Their peerage had gone by now. Akino poured both of them another cup of tea as they sat down, and mused over yet another player added to the chessboard. Naruto Uzumaki. Those whisker marks of his do make him look kinda cute. Don't you think, Akino? Yufa looks like our king has developed a certain crush towards our newest blonde, as Sona Kaishu? I agree to nothing or deny anything, Rias said with a small pout. Anyway, you were the one who seemed to be quite interested in getting familiar with him. Oh. Is Bucho jealous that I will have a place among the young Uzumaki's girls and she won't? I love a little challenge, Rias-chan. Knowing how far Akino and Rias could take their petty little squabbles, Sona decided it was best to stop them before they went too far. Physical attraction aside, Uzumaki and his peerage are obviously very well trained. Each of them has humongous reserves and look as if they have been trained with martial intent from a young age. I wonder what all he is hiding. This new king was quite a mystery. And Sona Citri loved mysteries. So Bachan, what are your thoughts on our two resident heiresses? Naruto asked his adoptive mother. From what I've seen, they are every bit of Seraphal Leviathan and Serzex Lucifer's sister if anything else. Both of them are extremely well trained in clan politics. What about their peerage members? Certainly good for their age and experience, considering they lead mostly a civilian life, but nothing to write home about. I am sure you would find stronger peerages out there in the same age bracket out there if you looked. But they carry a lot of clout with their clan names, if nothing else. Things are finally starting to get interesting around here. Naruto thought as he went to bed. Chapter 5. Time unknown. This was it, the supposed end of the world, where the great beast Trihexa was slain and sealed by God himself at the cost of his own life, though the part where God died wasn't public knowledge yet. Thousands and thousands of ancient forbidden seals covered the ground over a blood-red spiral. Thunder boomed overhead as dark clouds clashed overhead, causing a torrential downpour of heavy rain. Huge whirlpools guarded the island from all sides. Golden chains sprouting from the eye of each whirlpool formed a protective dome overhead. Underneath such heavy protective measures lay the great beast in its slumber. Suddenly the spiral glowed crimson, and the chains that formed the dome tightened around with much more intensity than ever before, a natural reaction. Almost as if they could sense the presence of the last living Uzumaki in this world once again. All through this, the Emperor Beast of Apocalypse slept in its unbreakable cell. Rise of him Levon Lucifer, leader of the old Satan faction, son of the original Lucifer, sat casually on his throne in his lair, a golden chalice filled with rich wine held lazily in his right hand. Life is so boring these days. Since his defeat at the hands of the Four Mao during the war between the old and the new faction, he had but one goal: complete domination of all the three races of the supernatural, and beyond. All his machinations, all his plans, all his resources had been directed towards this one true goal of his. And he would let the entire underworld below and heaven above freeze over before he made his dream a reality. It was exactly at this time when Euclid Lucifuge, his faithful servant and trusted aide, made his presence known. "My lord, it appears our spies have uncovered some interesting news from Ko Town," he said, bowing his head. A tilt of the head from the throne was all the indication he got his permission to continue. "It appears the last surviving Uzumaki has finally made his presence known." This perked his interest. Uzumaki, you say? Do tell more, Euclid. "He has a fully trained peerage, my lord. Current abilities are unknown, and he has aligned himself with the Gremory and Citri heiresses. Sadly, this is all we know for now." "Oh, has he now? Serzex, you sly old dog." Now this is exactly what the son of the original Lucifer was waiting for. Something to keep him busy and entertained while his other little minions under the Ouroboros and that damned Grigori did their work. He had originally planned to unseal the Trihexa by using the Sephiroth Graal and the ancient relics. It would have taken years and years to find and unseal it that way. But right here was an opportunity too good to pass on. It would be so much easier to bypass all those infernal security measures only if he had the blood of the very clan who made them in the first place in his hands. "Very well then, Euclid. Send 20 of your best men to Ko Town to have a little chat with this Uzumaki. He might be the chariot that we will ride in our victory parade when I take my rightful place as the leader of all three factions. Or he could be the last nail that drives all of our coffins shut. Sir, you do realize that if he is anything like his ancestors, this will be a suicide mission for all 20 of my men, right? Alas, the road to the Iron Throne is paved with the blood of the thousands that die for it, my friend. I'd be more surprised if they didn't. He wouldn't deserve his family name then." Such was the brutality of Rizavim Levon Lucifer. Here was a devil that was ready to send 20 of his best men to death just to test the waters. He could care less for the lives of all those innocent devils that followed him blindly as their masters. He had already rolled his dice long ago. This would have mattered little to him, but yet he did it. Why? Just because he could. But this was to be expected from the man who killed his own son and left his grandson to fend off for himself after all. "I'll see to it that it is done, my lord." Rizavim allowed a small smile to grace his lips. Everything was falling into place. Soon he would bring the underworld back to its former glory, ruling above all the other factions with an iron fist. His little minions had already been doing their work. All that was needed was a spark that would ignite the flames of war once again between the three factions. And when they were at their weakest, he would strike. Strike hard and take back what was rightfully his. How can you not remember her? Just look at them, going at it again. I bet whatever it is that they are talking about, it's perverted. Issei paid no heed to whatever other taunts that the other students moving through the corridors sent their way. He just couldn't believe it. Yuma-chan, the girl he had so proudly declared as his own girlfriend in front of these two bastards, the girl with whom he had spent his first date with, the girl Who tried to kill me? He instinctively gripped the area on his chest near his heart, where that weird glowing spear had pierced him. He couldn't believe it. The first thing he did today was talk to his two best friends about what happened yesterday, and they had responded by trying to take his temperature and referring him to the school nurse. I don't really know what you exactly tried to smoke last night, buddy, but it sure gave you a weird dream, Matsuda said. A really kinky and hot one, by the sounds of it, but just that, a dream. Motohama continued. Issei, we are your friends, and we will only say this once, drugs are bad. Don't get addicted to them. But Issei, that's something different. I wouldn't mind getting addicted to something like that. They both added lecherously at the end. Even Issei had to let out a sweat drop at that. Just like that, their conversation had moved back to their favorite topic once again. Gah! Shut it, you bastards! You won't understand a thing, Issei stormed off, trying to find someone who would believe him. He was so lost in his thoughts that he didn't see the person coming around the corner. He bumped into him and fell down. Nursing his head, he looked up and tried to apologize to whoever he had crashed into. Oh. Gomenasai. I didn't see where I was going and I just you. There in front of him stood one of the two knights of Ko Academy. He vaguely remembered now, he was also present there that night. You remember Yuma-chan, don't you? Naruto chuckled and offered him a hand to get up. And who might you be? Naruto, of course, was playing around. He knew exactly who the kid was, and what he probably contained. He held nothing against him. He kind of reminded him of Jiraiya, minus the skills of course. But then, he too had started as a dead last like him, so maybe this one too had potential. Huh? You don't know about me? Well, are you famous or something? I am Issei Hayato, one of your underclassmen, one of the perverted trio. Huh, doesn't ring a bell. Really? Perviest of all the three pervs, lust reincarnate, someone who would gladly give away their life for a group of a pair of beautiful épée. I wouldn't exactly call that famous, you know? By now a lot of students had seen both of them talking, and let's just say the ladies were not happy. Naruto-senpai. Did he hurt you? Get away from him, Naruto-senpai. You might just catch something from the perv. Over here, Naruto-senpai. Naruto just let up his hands and waved everyone off. It's alright ladies, we are just fine. Alright Issei, let's go out for a walk. Without waiting for his affirmation, Naruto pulled him up and went towards the school grounds. You were there as well, you remember her, don't you? It cannot be all just a dream. It was all too real to be just a dream. Huh? Who are you talking about again? Yuma-chan, Yuma Amano. Tall girl, raven hair? Yes, brown eyes, cute face, boobs about. Yay big? Naruto asked, with his hands in front of Issei's chest, assuming what would have been Rainer's chest size. Yes. Yes. Who went on a date with you and might or might not have rewarded you with a light spear embedded in your chest at the end of it? Yes. 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 Never heard of her. He ended in an almost nonchalant tone. I knew. Wait. What? Laughing to himself, Naruto replied, I'm just playing, okay? Resting a hand upon his shoulder. He continued, what happened with you back at that park was very much real, but you need not worry about it now, everything will be explained in due time. Stay safe until then and try not to get stabbed again. And just like that, he disappeared. Naruto-senpai, Ryaspucho wishes to see you now. Alright Kuniko-chan, lead the way. Location, ORC clubroom. Time, late evening. So, Ryas-chan, what did you need me for? Naruto asked as he entered the clubroom. Yufu, have you forgotten about Naruto-kun? Akino asked as she suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Hello to you too, Akino-chan, Naruto said in a monotone, paying no heed to their close proximity. Well, I and Sono were going to go together for the distribution of our contracts. Both her and my peerages coordinate and work together throughout this town to distribute our contracts. Since you are new here, we decided to ask you to come along as well. And why exactly do we need to distribute these contracts to humans? Oh. I guess you didn't know then. Well, there are 3 ways for any kind of devil to get stronger. The easiest and most basic way is to build up your reserves and reputations by gaining contracts we give out to humans for any kind of work they wish for. The second is to train, up to the point of exhaustion so that your magic reserves grow. The third is by participating in the raiding games. The more games you win, the higher chances you have of being promoted to ultimate class devils. Both the raiding games and training are not as safe as the contract method, but the contract method is slower as well. So most of the devils and their peerage use a combination of both. Naruto was of course a bit skeptical at first. This sounded awfully a lot like the D-rank missions he had to take as a genin back during the early days of his shinobi career. If they were anything like that, he would back out right now. He would take training and fighting a war over catching that damn cat any given day of the week. The thought of chasing that hell spawn all over the village still gave him shivers. Maybe she was related to Matatabi in some way? Suppressing an internal shudder, he decided to give it a shot. Who knows, this might even be fun. Great! Rias chirped. Now all that is left is for you to get the costume. Wait! Nobody said anything about costumes? I never thought I'd say this, but this is worse than D-rank missions. Huh? What are D-rank missions? Rias inquired. Never mind. Naruto replied with a sigh. The three of them, Naruto, Sona and Rias, were standing near the town square, distributing flyers, which were supposed to be devil contracts, which were used by humans to summon them. It would have been okay only if they hadn't opted to dress in such a weird sense. The three of them were wearing full-body costumes. Sona had been given a big black and white panda costume while Rias had chosen a peach-colored bear one. Apparently, Rias was what people here called an otaku, people obsessed over Japanese animated TV shows and comics. These were from one of the newer ones she had watched, but it wasn't their costumes that bothered Naruto at all. Come to think of it, they do look kind of cute in them. It was his costume, which Rias had picked out. It was a hot pink bunny costume, complete with the nose attachment for buck teeth and a cottony fluffy tail. And slash, if you have seen Friends, and remember Chandler's Halloween costume, you know what I'm talking about. Tongue sticking out. Yes, people, the Crimson Princess of Destruction, the Ice Queen and the Kami no Shinobi were standing near the town square, dressed as a bear, a panda and a pink bunny, distributing flyers. And not quite successfully, I might add. But then, if a pink bunny came up to you and gave you a slip of paper which said it would summon a devil to do your bidding, you were bound to take it as a joke, right? To add insult to the already festering injury on Naruto's pride right now, there was already a guy right across the street giving out free coupons for Pizza Hut, and he was doing it better than them. The only good thing that came out of this was that no one from his peerage would be able to see him dressed like this. Oh, only if Konohamaru could see me now. He would be down on the floor laughing his guts out. Look, Rias-chan, I may be new to this devil business and everything, but I am pretty sure this is not how devils are supposed to gain contracts. In my defense, Rias forced me to wear these Naruto-san costumes. Believe me when I tell you this. This is not how we usually do things around here. You are way too stuck up, Sona-chan. Live a little. This is fun. Both Sona and Naruto could only give out a sweat drop at that comment. Suddenly, her eyes grew sharper and her mood turned somber, as the crest of the Gremory house glowed in the palm of her hand. Issei has been attacked again. We must go and help him. Very well then, but we first moved to a more secluded place to use the teleportation circle. And so the three of them ditched their costumes and ran, hoping to reach the pervert as quickly as possible. Naruto might have been looking like he was not having a very good time distributing flyers dressed as a bunny, but on the inside, his instincts had remained sharp as ever. He knew they had been surrounded by a lot of enemies from the beginning itself, and were now being tailed. But he did nothing to call them out. His ANBU guard, which consisted of Team 7, his best friend Shikamaru and Temari, had surrounded them from the very beginning. They couldn't leave their Hokage just like that now, could they? They could have taken them down that very instant, and no one would have been the wiser, but he just had a feeling that there was more to this than just rogue devils. And he intended to find out why. Also, his main concern right now was Issei. He had to reach him first. Meh. I was itching for a good fight to happen anyway, he thought, cracking his knuckles. The hunter would soon become the hunted. But a horrible thought came over his mind as he ran. His ANBU guard had never left his side. Which could only mean one thing. What if Kakashi-sensei took pictures? Issei Hayate was running for his life with all the energy his skinny teenager body could muster up. Behind him, his would-be executioner trailed after him lazily, taking pleasure in all the fear and helplessness he caused his soon-to-be next victim. How did Issei end up in such a situation of all places, you ask? Flashback. It was late evening and the sun had set. The entire day, while Issei had been at school, he had a massive headache. Almost as if he shouldn't be here. Like he should find the darkest closet he could find near him and stay inside until nightfall. But he had ignored those pangs in his head. Now as went back home, he could feel the difference. It was almost as if he could see clearer at night, hear better at night. He could see everything around him in so much clarity, make out the finest details in his surroundings as well, much better than he had been able to at day. He could hear the faintest of noises, the creak of the old seesaw across the park, the cricket chirping as it sat on a tree trunk across the road. Everything was so detailed that, frankly, it was scary. So it came as a bit of surprise to Issei when he bumped into a man for the second time that day. Oh. Hey, watch where you are going, will ya? But unlike the first person he had met this morning, this man did not even think of turning back and offering him a helping hand. Instead, he chose to just ignore him and just walk away. Issei, from his position on the ground, shouted, "Hey! The least you could do is apologize for bumping into me, you jerk." The man just tilted his head to the side and showed him a sinister grin, which was looking even more evil by the full moon which cast an eerie and ominous glow behind his back. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a muscular build. He wore a gray trench coat and a black hat, which covered most of his hair, leaving only 2 silvery black bangs to fall down on the side of his tanned and scarred face. It was exactly at this moment that Issei had realized that he probably might have made a mistake. Everything about this man just sent off all the kind of warning bells in his head. Then he started to speak. Look what we have here. A stray? You know what this means, right? What are you talking about? Issei said, as he started to back away from him. I can do whatever I want to do with you. The surroundings suddenly changed around them. Their sky suddenly turned purple around them, forming a dome, a barrier of sorts. A green little stray devil? This makes it all the more enjoyable. Filth probably killed his own master before he even knew about him. Now stay still and die, scum. 2 big light spears formed in his hands, which he threw at blinding speeds and deadly accuracy. Issei barely managed to dodge them. One of them grazed his left shoulder. He clutched it in pain and screamed. It was pain like he had never felt before. The only thing that mattered right now was survival. So he ran. Flashback end. This brings us to the present. Issei kept running and trying to dodge all those weird glowing spears that somehow hurt so much. You know you cannot win, little devil, so why don't you just sit still and let me finish you off? I'll try to make it as painful as possible. He then formed 2 large spears in his hands and threw them, which pierced both of his knees from behind, just above the calves. Issei let out a blood-curdling scream and fell down. His attacker formed yet another light spear and pierced his shoulder, pinning him to the ground. Please, somebody help me. Anybody. His attacker had formed a final spear in his hands and was walking towards him in a very calm fashion, knowing that there was no hope for him now. I'll let you know my name, as it will be the very last thing that you hear before you die. Pathetic little stray, my name is Danasik. He threw it yet again, this time aiming for the heart. Doton Doriahiki. An extremely thick and powerful, chakra-infused wall suddenly erupted between his spear and his victim, preventing him from further harm, while the crest of the Gremory clan suddenly materialized from thin air, bringing out all the 3 high-class devils. Ah! The crimson-haired princess of Ruin! I should have known. The now-known Danasik said. This is devil territory, and the boy you just attacked is my pawn. This means he is under the protection of the Gremory household. You are trespassing, filthy crow. So leave, before I make you. Rias said as she charged up the power of destruction in her right hand. Very well then, Rias Gremory, but I'll offer you this one advice before I leave. Keep your pets on a tighter leash. It's lucky for your little servant that I found him before anyone else of my fallen angels. I like to play with my prey before I devour them. Who knows, next time I might just aim my spear a little too close to his heart. With that he vanished. Sakura had taken this time to provide healing aid to Issei. Rias might have been too busy with the fallen angel, but Sona had kept her eyes perfectly trained on Sakura, as she healed Issei. She watched as a green, almost ethereal glow encased her hands like a glove while she moved it over his wounds. To her utter surprise, Issei's wounds began to heal themselves. She watched with wide eyes as the gaping hole in his legs closed in on themselves, muscle and tissue rejoining together. The pierced skin mended together on itself, returning to a healthy pink from the deathly pale color it had moments ago. The only proof that there ever was a wound there in the first place were the holes in his clothes where the light spear had pierced him, dried blood and a light scar. Naruto knew that even with the fallen angels leaving, things were far from over yet. He could sense the group of devils closing in on their location, and fast. 17, 18, 19, 20. Good, all of them are here. Rias was about to take Issei back to his home when a dagger was thrown at the group at lightning speeds from a nearby tree, probably tempered with holy water. Before anyone could even move, Naruto had caught the dagger by its hilt between its fingers and thrown it back at his assailant, coating it a bit with wind chakra. Thump! A muffled scream was heard, and then a devil fell down from the tree down on the ground, holding a bloody stump which 2 seconds ago used to be his shoulder. The dagger had surgically sliced clean through his shoulder blade. The missing arm, which was dangling from the tree, by the very dagger he had thrown. The blade was embedded deep into the trunk of the tree, and held the arm by a tiny piece of fabric of its now bloodied sleeve. The rest of you can come out now. I know you are out there. In Rias and Sona's opinion, his voice sounded calm, too calm in fact. It did not sound at all like he had just sliced off another devil's arm in a matter of seconds. Honestly, he sounded like a 10-year-old playing hide and seek in the park. 19 other devils wearing black cloaks and their faces hidden surrounded them. Their leader stepped forward and said in a commanding sort of voice, Naruto Uzumaki, our leader, wishes to meet you. Come peacefully, and we will let this one attack slide. Although he tried to not show it, he was a bit intimidated by this young devil. He had killed one of their men like it was nothing in the blink of an eye. Everything from his posture to the look in his eyes showed that this man in front of him was a trained killer. And what if I say no? He asked with a smirk and a tone like he was discussing the weather. You might be strong, but even if you cannot take on so many enemies at once, we will take you with us. The boss asked for you to be delivered to him, but he didn't ask how exactly you were to be delivered. I am sure you can still be of use without an arm or a leg. One cocky devil stepped forward and said, though he didn't sound so sure of himself. And who said he is alone? A voice behind the same devil said. Before he could turn around and get a good look at his attacker, a fist covered in lightning erupted from his chest through his back, killing him before he could even make another sound. The park was flooded yet again, this time by Hokage's personal guard, surrounding everyone else. You didn't think we would leave our Taicho unattended now, would you? Kakashi asked as he removed his bloodied fist from his victim with a sickening squelch. Rias and Sona looked horrified, while Naruto looked calm as ever, hands inside his pockets, leaning against one of the trees in the park, giving off what he considered was the best Sasuke impression. Oh, and guys, one thing before we get started, Naruto said, pointing a finger at the leader of the fools who dared attack him and his friends. Leave that one alive. The man in question could only hope he hadn't said that. Aren't you going to help them? Questioned Rias. Relax, each one of us have faced far worse than a bunch of devils. All of us have been in life-threatening situations since we were 12, Kakashi-sensei has been since he was 7. Sona was going to question him further, but a loud boom stopped her. She looked towards the battlefield to see Sakura, who had punched a devil right in the gut. Shinaro! Sakura shouted as she threw a mean right hook laced with chakra right in one of the devil's guts from his side. The devil in question fell to the ground, coughing blood and creating a massive crater. Cracks appeared on the ground as the rogue devil's body was blasted to smithereens. Blood and guts flew through the air, making it rain blood. You guys have told me a lot about your own peerage and their abilities, but none of you know about mine, so I'll start right here, Naruto said, as the fighting in front of them continued. Where I come from, boys and girls are assigned into special squads of 4. 3 students in training led by a sensei. Each squad is made for a special purpose, like mine for instance. My squad, which was Squad 7, was led by Kakashi-sensei, who is now a knight under my peerage, led me, Sakura and Sai. We were the frontline strikers and assault team. The heavy hitters. Kakashi-sensei and Sai both are extremely talented, have high chakra reserves for their age and rely on speed and precision. On the battlefield, Sai had managed to ensnare 4 of the devils with ink serpents, and had sent a pair of ink lions after the others who had tried to attack from behind. Kakashi made quick use of his Chidori to finish off the trap devils and sent a lightning dragon to assist Sai. Sakura is my rook and is the strongest in terms of physical strength in my entire peerage, only matched by my queen, Tsunade Senju. She was her personal apprentice for many years and is a great healer as well. Sakura, who was now littered with a few minor cuts and bruises here and there, punched another devil right in the skull, making it explode with her sheer power, even before the body could fly off and ram itself into the nearest wall. Shikamaru and Temari were both parts of a squad which was more of a detect threat, dispose threat kind of squad. Temari too is a knight like Kakashi and has high speed and reflexes, which support her wind style techniques perfectly. Shikamaru might look lazy and unmotivated, but he has the sharpest mind out of all of us. He is a perfect strategist. He has an IQ of well over 200, and has been my advisor for quite a few years. On the battlefield, Shikamaru used the shadow stitching on multiple enemies to pierce their wings and limbs, while Temari used her battle fan to finish them off. They used their own collaboration, which they had perfected all those years ago in Demon Country, where Shikamaru used a combination of the Cage Main and Kagen Nui no to bind and trap his opponents, and Temari used her most powerful wind jutsu, the summoning blade dance, to slice them in half. Together they formed the Anbu Guard for the Hokage, the best of the best, elite of the elite. Their sole duty and job is to protect the Hokage's life. In this case, me. 3 devils who had somehow escaped the slaughter that took place a few minutes ago slowly crept up from behind the trio and jumped on them, each holding a dagger aimed at a vital point. Rias and Sona wanted to shout, but after seeing such carnage and being so close to death, any hope they might have had of warning Naruto was struck in their throats as a silent scream. But apparently it was not needed, as a golden claw made of orange chakra erupted from his back and covered all 3 of them, basking them in its protective and warm glow, as Naruto was covered in a strange orange chakra cloak with black stripes as markings, with 9 black balls floating behind him, each with a picture of a snarling-tailed beast on it. His eyes turned golden, with cross slits for pupils and an even darker orange iris. Golden chakra chains erupted from the ground, which were covered with black flames at their tips and binded the 3 rogue devils together, before mercilessly slaughtering them into pieces. And I am Naruto Uzumaki, Nanadame Hokage of Kanahigaku no Sato, Kami no Shinobi. Both Sona and Rias, who up until this point had been terrified, somehow felt at peace when they were covered with the strange orange chakra shroud. His mesmerizing golden eyes just seemed to calm them down in a way nothing had been able to before. The fact that he had been able to use his own body as a shield to protect those two only solidified their earlier beliefs. The leader of the group, who had seen it all happen in a matter of minutes, was still too dazed to even move from his place. Finally snapping to his senses, he decided to take a wiser course of action than to face this monster, and made a run for it. He hadn't gotten very far away when he was suddenly stopped in his tracks. He turned around to see his own shadow connected with that damned Nara's, and a golden chain binding his ankle which came out of the Uzumaki's back. "You didn't think I forgot about you now, did you?" He gave no answer. "I suppose it's futile asking who sent you to try and capture me, isn't it?" The devil, who was now brought to his knees and had his arms spread by his side, spat at Naruto's feet a mixture of spit and blood and answered, "Try your worst, scum. I will never betray my master for the likes of you." Sai punched him in the gut to make their point across. He coughed up blood again. "I must say I am disappointed. Is this the worst you can do? I've had little babies punch me hard." Or whatever he was going to say next was silenced as Kakashi brought out a kunai and stabbed him in the shoulder. Rias and Sona, who were frozen on the spot, just realized that a TNI session was taking place in front of them. Live. Unable to handle the gory picture, they threw up on the spot. Both of them, heaving their late lunches. Seeing the conditions of the two girls behind him, Naruto decided to end it early. Giving a signal to Kakashi to stop, he said, "I don't have time to play games. It seems we will have to do this the hard way then." His eyes turned blood red and black, the cursed reverse atomic spiral of his best friend showing up in his blue eyes once again. "Watch over me, Sasuke. Tsukuyami." Not even a second later, a blood-curdling, bone-chilling scream was heard from the devil. Rias and Sona, who were hunched over, looked at Naruto from the corner of their eyes and gasped. His eyes had changed color once again, but this time it wasn't the golden and cross slits. They were black and blood red, a reverse atomic structure with a three-pointed star in the center of his black and red eyes. Both of these eyes held great power, but while the golden ones sent a calming, soothing aura over anyone they watched, these were the exact opposite. Nothing in their life they had seen looked so dark and menacing. These eyes withheld great sorrow and pain. They couldn't even begin to imagine what kind of arduous journey Naruto must have gone through to have attained such eyes. Both of them instinctively hugged the clones as tight as they could, burying their faces into their shoulders, which had been holding on to their hair as they threw up. Looking over to the others, he gave a slight nod. The area was soon cleaned up, the Uzumaki spiral lit up beneath the group once again, and they had all vanished together. After they had arrived at the ORC club room that night, and both Rias and Sona had calmed down, Naruto asked Rias to summon her brother to the school. As soon as news reached Serafall and Surzek's ears that their sisters had been caught in crossfire between a group of rogue devils and Naruto and his peerage, they rushed to the human world as fast as they could. The transportation runes of Gremory and Citri glowed in the clubroom, and out came Serafall Leviathan and Surzek's Lucifer, both of their masks of cheeriness and goofiness all but gone. "Who was it? Who dared to touch my little sister?" both of them asked in a low, completely serious voice. Nothing could have prepared them for the answer Naruto gave them. "Relax, Surzek, your sister is fine. I'll explain everything to you soon enough. But before we begin, why don't you tell me all you know about Rizavin Levon Lucifer?" Chapter 6. Both of the great mouths stifled a gasp when they heard the name of the son of the original Lucifer. If anywhere, anyhow, Rizavin Levon Lucifer was involved, it was not a good thing for anyone. Surzek steeled himself, his goofy personality and childish humor all but gone. His face took a calm, stony expression. This was not the Siscon Surzek's Gremory, who would shout out his sister's name whenever he saw her, but rather Surzek's Lucifer, the strongest of the four Mao, who led his faction through the civil war. Serafall as well knew this was no time for childish games and turned extremely serious, resorting to her Leviathan persona. "Very well, Uzumaki-san, let's talk. But first, Rias and Sona, I need you and your peerages to leave this room before we begin." But Onie-sama, Rias and Sona were both about to protest when Serafall interrupted them. "Sona Citri, I did not ask you. This is not a request. No questions. Leave. Now." Her voice had a bit of steel to it. Sona was shocked. She knew her sister was powerful, being one of the four Mao and everything, but she had hardly ever called her by her full name. She had always been her little Sotan. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, she pulled Rias away and ordered her peerage to leave as well. Rias was about to protest once again, but one look from her brother silenced her. So she followed and asked her own peerage to come along as well. Once the door was closed, Surzek entwined his fingers between his chin, his elbows propped up on the table, and began. "Very well, Naruto, tell me everything." Outside the room, Rias, Akino and Sona sat together, discussing between themselves. What could be so serious about this rise of Lucifer that could cause their elder siblings in such a way? And why was Naruto involved in all of this? And how did he know her brother so well? Sona and Akino, too, were thinking along the same lines. Sona had seen the mysterious Uzumaki and his peerage at work, and it terrified her. Yet she knew this had barely scrapped the true power of his group. She had seen his eyes change and his body covered by that powerful orange cloak as he protected them, and she couldn't help but still keep thinking of those golden mesmerizing eyes that held such a calm, yet powerful aura in them. Fighting down a blush that threatened to adorn her cheeks, she went back to discussing the events of the night with her two friends. And then I asked Rias and Sona to call both of you here. Naruto had just ended describing the events that had led up to this point to the leader of the devils. And Lucifer was not pleased. This is bad for the Surzics. If Rizavim has taken an interest in Naruto, this could only mean one thing. And we are not prepared for something like that, not yet at least. Honestly, Serafal, I don't think we will ever be prepared to face each other if I think I know what Rizavim plans to unleash. What does she mean by that? Naruto asked. Uzumaki-san, I believe it's time we told you why exactly your clan was attacked during the civil war in the first place. Serafal answered. The devils belong to the three great factions who are a part of Christian mythology. While the angels, who live up in heaven, are led by the Archangel Michael, the fallen angels now led by the Governor-General Azazel, and the devils led by the Four Mao have made the underworld their home. Surzex continued. When Lucifer the Silver Morningstar first fell from grace of our father, he developed the mouse system along with his own followers here in the underworld, and the devil race came to be. Life was good for us devils. We lived here in the underworld, while the angels lived up in heaven. Soon the devils divided amongst themselves based on their specialties and formed clans, or the 72 pillars of devil society, as we call them. But soon, the sin that defines the most basic of all of us devils took place in Lucifer's heart. The sin of greed. He had managed to give rise to a complete society different, and without the influence of his father. So why shouldn't he be allowed to make changes to others as well? He decided to conquer all the other three factions by waging war against them, to become their one true king, where he would rule over them with an iron fist. A foolish devil with dreams of power and grandeur. A devil who decided to wage war simply because he couldn't be the one true king of all. Naruto stated in a cold voice. This story was becoming too much like his story in the elemental nations for his liking. Yes, exactly, Uzumaki-san. Serafal said, quite surprised by the young devil's take on the whole situation. And so began the great war amongst the three factions. Countless lives were lost on each side. The bloodiest exchange to ever take place amongst the supernatural took place. Believe it or not, Father loved all of us equally, no matter the choices we made in our lives. To him, we were all his children, seeing his own children, who had been siblings once and their descendants fight and spill each other's blood, pained him to no end. So when the great beast of apocalypse, the Trihexa, suddenly appeared on the battlefield where the three factions fought, he took it upon himself to seal him away, and end this fighting for once and for all. Nobody knew how exactly the Trihexa appeared on the battlefield that day. All we know is that it is a sentient being that knows only one thing: to kill. Kill and destroy everything in its path. It doesn't care who or what it kills or destroys. All it cares about is carnage and causing death. Can you imagine Uzumaki-san? A beast so powerful that even with the power of all the three factions combined, we were barely able to put a scratch on it. You could say that I have a vague idea, yeah? Naruto said as the image of large beast with 10 tails and a lone red Sharingan eye invaded his mind, causing incomprehensible destruction with the simple whip of his tail. The other members of his peerage winced and shuddered. The only beings who can probably match it in its power are the Great Red and Ophis the Ouroboros white dragon. Anyway, after the beast of Cataclysm was defeated, the three factions called for a truce, but it was more like a ceasefire/Cold War if anything else. Since then, we've had a few skirmishes here and there in between, but nothing major. Surzex said, but apparently, this was not enough for Rizavim Levon Lucifer. This delicate and shaky peace we had obtained wasn't enough for him. He thought that we devils had gone too soft over the years and sought to take control over the devil faction, hoping to bring back things the way they were. So a civil war erupted between the old faction, led by him and his fellow Maos, and the new faction, led by me and the current Mao. This is where you come to Uzumaki-san. Not a lot of people know this, but during the Great War, our father had a little help known as the Uzumaki clan. When God sealed the Trihexa away, he had help from the members of the Uzumaki clan, who held the demon in place using a multitude of seals. They designed its prison and helped God seal him away in his cage. This piece of information was kept secret and was closely guarded, but somehow got leaked. The Uzumaki were battle-hardened warriors in a clan filled with hyperactive little devils, yet they were unlike most of the devils, a little peaceful. They liked being left to themselves, never going looking for attention. So you can imagine how much chaos this one piece of information must have caused in all the three factions. Devils and rogue fallen angels all hunted any and every Uzumaki they could find. In their opinion, such a great power was unfit to be present in the hands of a single clan. We believed that they had been eliminated down to the last one, but apparently, I was wrong. Seraphol ended. So you see now, Naruto-san, why Rise of him requires you. He needs your blood under his power to release the great beast of apocalypse. Surzex finally said, coming to the end of his story. And Surzex knows how things went on from there, Seraphol-san. I will get to Rise of him in a bit, but first me and my peers have some questions for you. You told us pretty much everything about this Lucifer guy and this war, but there is one person who you did not mention. And that is exactly who I am curious about. Shikamaru asked. And who might you be talking about? Seraphol asked. The biblical god, of course. Kakashi said. What about him? Surzex asked, not liking where this conversation was headed. He is dead, isn't he? Naruto asked. Preposterous. Why would you think something like Uzumaki-san? To think that the all-powerful biblical god would die. Seraphol bluffed. Let me tell you this, Seraphol-sama. I and my peerage might seem young, but we've seen enough to know that even gods, heck, even primordials can die. Where we come from, religion wasn't much of a thing, except a bit of an inclination towards Shintoism. But everyone still believed in a golden rule back in the elemental nations, which Mother Nature has given us. If it breathes, it's gotta die at some point. Naruto stated, and the signs are all there. Kakashi said, it first caught my attention when you specifically asked for both of your sisters to leave, which might not have been that big a deal. We could just have brushed it off as clan business and left it at that. But then you told us about this trihexa, how powerful it is, even if we consider the biblical god as an all-powerful entity. Surzex-san, when you told us that the three factions couldn't defeat this beast together, it got my gears whirring. Shikamaru added, the leaders of all the three factions might be powerful in their own right, but according to you, we're nothing compared to the biblical god, who they each have descended from. This can only mean one thing, that when their might is combined together, it should at least come quite close to matching his own power at least. Tsunade said, then there is the fact that there always only was a ceasefire, never true peace, which would have ideally happened if there was a higher power than the three factions watching over. And there is the final piece, the man himself, Rise of him, Lucifer. Considering that he is the direct descendant of the one guy who kickstarted the Great War, and is the cause of civil war amongst devils himself, you'd think God would want to end his existence as soon as he can. Naruto ended with a little chuckle. We also have quite the history with Uzumaki's sealing methods regarding demons, Sakura said. And they always cost a life, she said, with a glance towards Naruto. This leads us to a very simple conclusion, Shikamaru said with a tired sigh. The all-powerful biblical god is dead, or seriously crippled maybe, unable to perform his duties. He added with an afterthought, really, it's a surprise people haven't figured it out already. Ino said. You'd think there was something in the water. Her comment was shut down as Seraphol Citri had formed an ice spear in her hand. This bunch of kids had uncovered one of the greatest guarded secrets of the underworld, like a little school's puzzle. What if they went out and told this to everybody? It would lead to utter chaos. Last living Uzumaki or not, she had to deal with them, now. In a flash, Naruto's entire peerage was around her. The sound of 1,000 birds chirping filled the air as Kakashi had a hand encased in purple lightning near her neck, while Sai-'s ink lion surrounded her from all sides, led by Akamaru and Kiba. Shino had his hands out of his pockets, and there was a faint buzzing sound, as if something was about to come out of his sleeves. Hinata had 2 flaming purple lions formed in her hands, as she took her clan's gentle fist stance. Lee was poised on the ceiling directly above, a green aura covering him, as he opened the gates. Shikamaru had stopped the spear in her hands with his shadow, while the rest of his peerage had various sharp kunai pointed at her vital spots. Give me one good reason, Surzex, Seraphol said through gritted teeth. The shadow's grip was surprisingly tight. So fast, Seraphol thought. She could have gotten out of this easily. She was the second strongest Mao after all, but she would suffer serious injuries. Then there was the king himself, who had not made a move yet. He still sat on his end of the table, his facial features replicating Surzex in every way possible. Naruto and Surzex looked at each other, with a smirk on their faces, mirroring each other perfectly. Both of them knew they would be able to control their sides if things went south. So they just sat there, watching each other. Such intellect and power combined. And they said mine was a peerage of monsters, Surzex thought, with a small internal chuckle. Stand back, Serafal. We didn't come here to spill blood. Surzex commanded. Naruto too clicked his fingers, and everyone was back at his side. Though now everyone had adopted a rather stiff position. They were now ready to attack at a moment's notice. I believe with the recent revelations that have come to light, we can come to an agreeable decision, Naruto-san. And no one needs to get hurt here. All I ask of you is to keep whatever that is said here a secret. You have my word, Lucifer-sama. I wasn't planning on telling anyone about it even before. Serafal sighed in relief. It wouldn't do well if someone took to the skies to shout about the death of the biblical god. I also have a favor to ask of you, Naruto-san. Surzex said. And what would that might be? Train both Rias and Sona's peerages. Wait, what? Serafal shouted. Naruto merely raised an eyebrow in amusement. Tsunade too looked interested in this conversation now. Exactly as I said, the threat of rise of him Lucifer is too great to ignore. It won't be every time Naruto-san will be around to protect them. And this won't be the last attack that might happen here in Ko Town. I can feel it. Something has started to stir up, and it will be big. A storm is coming, Serafal. And I want to protect both of our sisters the best way I can. Even then, we both are well enough capable to train them, Surzex. Why would you put your faith in one boy and his peerage? It was a valid question. Apart from the fact that Naruto was more than capable of training his sister, it also gave them a chance to bond together. But no one needed to know that part. Time was running out for Lucifer, and he had to act fast. So much to do, so little time. Show her. Naruto said. Everything? Surzex asked with a bit of disbelief in his voice. Don't leave out one bit. It was Shikamaru this time who spoke. One long-ass jump through the memories and an explanation later again. Serafal Leviathan was a cheerful and bubbly person by nature. At a young age, she had decided that she would never let the small, happy, goofy child inside her die, no matter how old she got. She absolutely abhorred how crazy and struck up the older devils acted. To this resolution she had made herself, she decided to put a Rio in a jar every time she acted like her elders or went speechless. The jar had apparently filled itself during the course of war quite well, but hadn't been of much use ever since. But this time, this. It looked like she would need a whole wad of notes and sake this time. Lots of it. This is exactly why we fought the war, Surzex, so that the next generation of children could grow up just like that. Children. Do you think it's safe to do this? Serafal asked, with a bit of desperation in her voice. It must have been a noble sentiment at that time, I agree. But it has led to these people being too lax in everything they do. I remember someone from the Phoenix clan boasting about his experience in the raiding games. How he had won 35 of them. It was a bit annoying in my opinion. Kiba let out an unnatural cough that sounded like bullshit. As Kiba rightly said, bullshit. These raiding games will not give you experience. Experience gives you experience. Do you honestly think, right now, if a war were to break out between the three factions, half of these stars of the raiding games would survive the first fight? Serafal had no answer to that. You know this as well as I do, there are no do-overs in war. You won't split up in a shower of golden light, and get another chance like some video game character. How do you hope for the peace you have achieved to maintain, when the generation you have fought with your lives on the line to protect, doesn't know how to protect and defend the next generation as properly as you have? He's right, Serafal. We have been too lax in molding the younger generation. It's time we stepped up. And that is exactly why I want him to train them. I'll do it, of course, but I do want something in return as well. Naruto said. And what would that might be? Serafal asked. A favor, if you will, from each one of you. Consider it as my price for training them. I want a meeting with the creator of evil pieces, Ajuka Beelzebub, from you, Serafal-sama. I have something in my possession that I might need looking at. Naruto said, as he fingered the 3 broken pawn pieces in his pocket he had recovered in Yuzushiogakure. I can do that. Serafal replied. From you, Surzex-sama, I need you to make the knowledge of the last Uzumaki and his peerage's existence public. And form a hunter squad out of us. I'll see what I can do, Uzumaki-san. Serafal had a million thoughts running through her mind. Hunter squads were a thing of the past. Formed during the peak of civil war amongst devils by the new faction, hunter squads were covert operatives of capable devils that were dispatched by their leaders. Held in high regard, they were meant to do all the dirty work assigned to them by their leaders. They carried out sabotage, assassination of rogue and enemy devils, and took out exceptional threats including high-risk infiltration into enemy territory, dealing with extremely strong enemy devils, tracking, surveillance, interrogating the enemy to learn information, and missions requiring specially trained devils. They basically acted like the secret service for the devils who they were commanded under. It was a dark job. Age, background, gender, or clan bore no significance in selection within the hunter squads. Once joined, they underwent hardcore training and began wearing masks to conceal their identity, leading to them using code names to identify each other, given out on a need-to-know basis only. But everyone in the three factions knew them only by their reputation. While the frontline fighters enjoyed the glory and adoration from their supporters by fighting on the battlefield with their enemies, hunter squads worked in the shadows. There were even rumors of them being trained to kill themselves if ever captured. A fallen hunter squad devil's body was to be destroyed on the spot by the rest of her members of the peerage. Only a white envelope with condolences and gratitude for their service was sent to her family members. Often they had to do things they wished they didn't have to. They didn't participate in the raiding games either. Due to the actions of the group, one could appear changed and corrupted of kindness. Forming such a unit within their army was one of the toughest decisions Surzex had to make when they fought the war. Serafal wondered why Uzumaki would specifically want to form a hunter squad. Was it because of what he used to be before he came here? Or was it something else? So many questions, so little time. Outside the room, Rias and Sona were getting impatient. They had heard muffled voices coming from the room and had closely tried to follow what was happening inside, but apparently the room had been sealed soundproof. All they could do now was wait. Rias was about to knock on the door when suddenly it opened once again and Surzex popped his head out. "Ah, Riatan. Just the person I was looking for. Would you mind coming in, and bring everyone else with you as well?" After everyone had gathered together comfortably, Serafal began. "Well, after the events that took place tonight, Surzex and I have decided on some changes which will be occurring around while both Sona and Rias remain here in the human realm. First of all, Naruto here had kindly agreed to train both of your peerages while he is here in exchange for a small favor. So both of you and your peerage will be meeting him at the Uzumaki clan compound at a time decided on your leisure. There will also be some changes that will occur around here while you are hunting strays or trespassing fallen angels. 2. Any rogue exorcists, fallen angels or stray devils more than 5 or powerful as 5 will not be handled by you or your peerage. They are to be reported to Uzumaki-san, who will deal with them as he sees fit." Before any of them could protest further, Surzex held up a hand and said, "You didn't let me finish. Considering the circumstances, I've decided to appoint Uzumaki-san and his peerage as the active hunter squad for Ko Town." Sona and Rias both paled at this declaration. Even though they were young, they had heard about hunter squads. To have an opportunity to train under one would be amazing. But then, another thought entered their minds. Both of them had heard about the notorious reputation the hunter squads carried. There must be something in Naruto and his peerage for Surzex to give them the position. And they both intended to find out what it was. Third and lastly, if you ever find something fishy while performing a contract, you will immediately contact any member of the hunter squad you can find. Everything else will stay the same. And before any of them could say anything else, both of them all were gone. Rias and Sona turned to Naruto, who up until now, just casually stood there. On seeing that both of the heiresses were looking at him, he just awkwardly put his right hand behind his head, much like how his father used to, and said, "Well, Rias-chan, it's getting quite late and I should be going. So I'll see you tomorrow, I guess." Rias gave him a short hug, thanking him for saving them during the fight earlier, and nodded. Surprisingly, Sona too did the same. Once they were gone, Akino turned to Rias and said, "Erera Bucho, it seems like the competition for the young Uzumaki's attention keeps getting tougher and tougher." Rias too looked at Sona with a knowing smirk. Shut up. Both of you." Sona huffed and teleported away, not bothering to hide the shade of pink that covered her cheeks. Back at the Uzumaki mansion, everyone sat together in the living room, with Naruto's wives by his side. Shizuka took this time to ask him something which had been bugging her mind since the meeting had ended. "Naruto-kun, I can understand why you would want to meet the creator of Evil Pieces, but why would you want to form a hunter squad? Apart from the fact that it is extremely similar to what we did back home, Shizuka-chan, there are plenty of reasons for me to do so. The most important is that this will be our foray into the mainstream of Devil's Society. I could have waited and done what the other devils were doing, but I just seemed to be a waste of our skills. Also, the Uzumaki don't have that much of a political clout here now. Being regarded as the sole peerage acting as a hunter squad under the current Lucifer himself gives us what we lack. Then there is also the fact that we will get classified access to some of the information that other devils will not. It might help us find and bring to justice who exactly was responsible for our clan's demise here in the first place." Saying his bit, Naruto decided to retire for the night. He had a lot of work to do. After all, the Uzumaki clan wouldn't build itself now, would it? Chapter 7. Issei Hayato was sitting at his desk, thinking. For once, he did not partake in the conversation his two best friends were having about the newest porn movie that had just been released. He sighed again. He seemed to be doing a lot of that these days. The past week had been an utter clusterfuck for him. He had a weird dream last night which was eerily similar to what Yuma-chan did to him in the park a few days ago. Only it involved Rias Gremory and Sona Shituri arriving at the last second with Uzumaki-senpai to save him. Yeah right, like that's ever going to happen. Why would one of the two great Onisama of Ko Academy along with the third most popular girl of Ko Academy want anything to do with him? Hey Issei, are you even listening to us? Matsuda inquired. Yeah, you seem pretty down today. Motohama asked as well. Their friendship might have been based on a common love for naked girls, but Issei had to agree, these two were his best friends. They had been with him through thick and thin. Smiling at the concerned duo, he replied, It's nothing guys, I am just feeling down since the last couple of days. To reassure them, he gave them a genuine smile. I know just the thing to cheer my man Issei up. Motohama declared with a closed fist pointing towards the heavens. What is it? Matsuda asked in mock curiosity. He clearly knew what was going on here. Why, my dear friend, I have acquired the latest DVD for the most popular hentai series yet. Behold the latest addition to the series that blew every other hentai movie off the charts. The latest issue to Euphoria, he declared, showing his friends the files he had so painstakingly scoured the internet for, and This is an actual hentai anime. Someone on Reddit said that this is one of the few hentai movies with an actual good plot. Check it out if you like such stuff. Motohama and Matsuda wept mock tears of joy together, holding the phone in their hands as if it was some kind of sacred relic. Issei laughed yet again. These two always knew how to cheer him up. A sudden squeal of girls diverted their attention towards the entrance to their classroom. The cause, Kiba Yuto, the popularly dubbed Prince of Ko Academy, strode towards the perverted trio with a smile so charming that it would have thrown most people off. Issei could literally see the stars shimmering around him and the hearts in the girls' eyes as he moved towards them, as he ignored the proclamations of undying love from the many blushing girls. As he approached the pair, Matsuda growled, What do you want, pretty boy? Smiling yet again, he held up both of his hands and said, relax guys, I mean no harm. I just came here to talk to Issei. If the sound of mind shattering would have been audible, the entire police force of Ko Town would have made it up to the school to check because it would have sounded like 1,000 glasses breaking at the same time. What? Everyone in the class, which surprisingly included Issei, shouted at the same time. Stay away from him, Kiba-kun. You might catch something from the pervert. She's right, Yuto-senpai. Who knows where those filthy hands have been? Why God, why? First Uzumaki-senpai, now Kiba-kun. Ignoring the throbbing sensation of pain that was building up in his head, Kiba decided to make it quick. Relax everybody, it's nothing. Turning to Issei and gripping his shoulder, he said, Rias Bucho wishes to see you, and for a second time, without his consent, Issei was hauled away. I've brought him here as you requested, Bucho, Kiba said, finally dragging him to the ORC clubroom. You could have been a little more gentle, you bastard, Issei said, rubbing his now obviously sore shoulder. Thank you, Kiba, you may leave now, Rias said, who was sitting behind her table, with Akino standing beside her. Naruto sat on one of the comfy chairs near her, while Kaneko sat on the couch, munching on some sweets that Rias had recently given her. Shikamaru just stood near the window, a hand massaging his temple. It was like he knew this was going to be a drag. Issei, after having a good look at her, exclaimed, Wawa! It's Kaneko-chan, the school mascot. Academy's favorite Lolita first year. She is so cute. Naruto turned to Shikamaru and in an almost low whisper, so that only he could hear, said, This kid kind of reminds me of Pervy Sage. He certainly has got the pervert part down pretty well. Shikamaru replied. Rias just gave the two whispering devils an odd look, quaking her eyebrow. She then coughed to get everybody's attention onto herself. Ahem ahem. But before she could begin, Issei cut her off again. Suga. It's the two great Onisamas of KUOH Academy. Rias Gremory San and Akino Himejima San. The two girls with the biggest épée in the entire academy. The only woman to be able to pull off a ponytail in the 21st century. This club is amazing. I never thought I'd say this, but this kid might be a bigger pervert than Pervy Sage. Kaneko, who by now had finished with her sweets, and had enough of Issei's antics, got up from her seat and bonked Issei on the head. Degenerate pervert, she muttered in an emotionless monotone voice. Having done her bit, she went back to her seat and started munching on another chocolate, which she had somehow gotten out of her dress. Sending a thanking look towards Kaneko, Rias began. Issei Hayado, why don't you take a seat? We have a lot to discuss with you. Short time skip. It took a little time, but Issei was soon made to understand what had exactly happened since the day he had his date with Yuma-chan and who he was now. He was a bit sad at first, but that soon vanished when he was told about all the perks that involved being a devil. Specifically, the one which allowed him to have multiple girlfriends. Rias, in a bid to cheer him up, even gave Naruto's example. Issei now considered himself as his disciple. One surprising thing that came out of it all was Issei's sacred gear, which he had attempted to unlock by copying Kamehameha, one of the main attacks from a show that he liked. It was one of the 13 Longinus, the boosted gear. Apparently, it housed the spirit of the Welsh dragon, Dryag, in it. Hearing the bell ring, Naruto and Shikamaru got up. It looks like lunchtime is over, Rias-chan. I'll see you and Sona-chan later today at the Uzumaki compound. Having said their bit, Naruto and Shikamaru left. Kakashi and Tsunade eyed the man that sat before them carefully. In their long career as a shinobi and a kage, they had grown quite adept at weeding out traitorous informers and backstabbing allies. So far they hadn't detected anything of the sort from the man that sat in front of them. Tsunade eyed the file that he had handed them. Is this all of them? She asked. I assure you, out of all the fallen angels under my command, I only have the knowledge of these going rogue. I did have an idea of their activities before, hence I allowed Rainier to infiltrate their group as a double agent working for me. If I had known they were working for Rise of Lucifer, I would have dealt with them earlier. The Governor-General of the Fallen Angels, Azazel, replied. The three of them were currently in a meeting, discussing the small group of rogue angels that was operating in the area. The Surzex had put them up to it. He might have belonged to the enemy faction, but Surzex knew that he was a peace-loving leader as much as himself. So he decided to give him a chance to explain before he sent the entire might of Uzumaki and his hunter squad on this little group. And how do you explain the little attack that she led on a defenseless human? There were about 20 devils personally sent by Rizevim himself present on the scene. Not to mention Middlet, Kalawerner, and Donasek himself, who has a bit of bloodthirsty streak to him. They were watching from the shadows. She couldn't have her cover blown away like that, so she had to act. And the second one? Asked Kakashi. Donasek has always been vocal in his protests against my decisions from the start. Had I known that Hayate-san already was a part of Miss Gremory's peerage, he wouldn't have attacked. All right then, if that is all, we will take our leave. Azazel gave a nod of acknowledgement as well. The two devils disappeared in a flurry of leaves. School was finished for the day, and Naruto and Shikamaru were walking back towards the Uzumaki clan compound. Kakashi had just sent them a message regarding the rogue angels operating in the area. Apparently they were holed up in an abandoned church on the outskirts of the city. So engrossed they were in their talking that they did not see the person walking just around the corner, and bumped into her. Kia dash! Naruto finally looked at the downed form of the girl he had bumped into, who was nursing her head after the fall. She wore a simple dark teal nun outfit with light blue accents, a white veil over her head with light blue accents, a brown satchel slung on her right hip, and brown boots with black straps in an X-shaped pattern. She also wore a silver cross necklace around her neck. She had long blonde hair and green eyes. Her hair flew all the way down to her back, with split bangs over her forehead and a single strand sticking out from the top, sloping backward. Naruto offered his hand to help her up. Hey miss, are you alright? Huh? She looked up to see a young man holding out his hand. She took it, as he helped her up. Shikamaru gathered her belongings that had spilled out of her bag and handed them back to her. Oh, I am sorry, I mean thank you, Yua, she trailed on in a mix of broken Japanese and Italian, unsure between apologizing for being such a klutz for bumping into them or thanking for helping her up and picking up her bags. Naruto laughed and said, It's okay, I should have looked where I was heading to. There is no need for you to apologize. It was one of the more perks of devilhood, being able to understand other languages perfectly. Her green eyes suddenly shone with happiness. She took hold of both of his hands and with a smile that could only have been rivaled by his own, said, Yo, you speak Italian? Oh. Thank God. I was having such a hard time adjusting around. I just moved here and was having such a hard time communicating with anyone. She ended with a deep bow. Ignoring the sharp jab of pain in his head, Naruto gave her a kind smile and said, Don't mention it. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, by the way, and this is Shikamaru Nara. What's yours? Oh. Sorry. My name is Asia Argento. It's very nice to meet you, Naruto-san, Shikamaru-san. So Asia, what brings you to Ko? Asia's face suddenly saddened all of a sudden. But she continued, I work for the church. I was ordered by the higher-ups back home in Italy to come here so that I could help in spreading the Lord's message. I will be living at the church nearby, but I cannot seem to find it yet, she said, with her voice growing smaller at the last sentence. Naruto beamed at her and said, Well, since you are such a nice and cute girl, Asia-san, and we bumped into you, it's only fair that we at least show you your way around the city, right, Shikamaru? Shikamaru gave a nod and a smile towards the gentle girl as well. Really? Thank you, Naruto-san. Say no more, Asia-chan. That's what friends are for. Tell you what, let's have some ice cream as we go. Come on, my treat. And Naruto pulled the innocent nun along with him to the nearest ice cream shop. and so the two young devils escorted the nun to her destination. They couldn't go very close to it, considering it acted as the base for their enemies. Well, Asia-chan, it was really nice meeting you. I do hope to see you around the town sometime again. Me too, Naruto-san, Asia added in a chirpy voice. Once they had left Asia and gone far away from the church, Naruto looked over to Shikamaru and asked, "What did you pull out from her bag?" "She is living in the church where the rogue angels are holed up in. Her bag contains some of the blueprints of the building. Considering she is a nun, I decided to do some information gathering from the enemy." Naruto gave out a light chuckle and said, "She is no enemy of Shikamaru. And how do you know that?" "It's all in the eyes." "Eyes?" "Yeah, eyes. Pervy Sage, during our travels, once told me that if I look hard enough, I could peek right into the soul of my enemy if I wanted to. And you know what? He was right. I saw a man encompassed in so much darkness and revenge in Sasuke that even he knew that there was no redemption left now. In Obito's I saw a broken man, a shadow of his former self, of everything he believed in. I saw in Sarada that she was born to be Hokage. I see it in hers too. She is innocent, too innocent, in fact. Her eyes are way too pure, unlike mine, yours, and most of the people we know. She believes and sees the good in everybody. She couldn't even lie properly when we asked her why she arrived here. Which leads us to one simple conclusion: she is being played. And the funniest part is, she doesn't even know it yet. Probably won't until it's too late. She has no idea how twisted and greedy this world can be. And it is our job, as the people who walk in the shadows, who embrace the dark, to protect such kind-hearted souls. Shikamaru. I only hope we can save this one before it's too late. Shikamaru, who had already started to walk ahead, replied in his same lazy voice. And you won't be able to do that standing here in the middle of the street and giving out a monologue. We are wasting daylight here. We have work to do. Let's go. Laughing to himself, Naruto ran after his friend. Rias and Sona fidgeted before the door, before they knocked on it together. The Uzumaki mansion, in one word, was huge. It was a 3-storied traditionally styled Japanese mansion spread on a wide personal field, inside of which smaller, single-story houses were constructed. The entire estate was surrounded by short, simple white walls. The big oak doors on the front had the signature Uzumaki spiral painted on them, half on each door. The doors opened soundlessly, and behind stood Koike Uzumaki, welcoming them with a smile on her face. "Oh, you guys are already here. Come on in. Everyone else is at the training area. I'll let them know you have arrived." She ushered everyone inside, and the doors closed once again. Rias and Sona walked in, their peerages following. As they walked, they took in the sights of the Uzumaki house. The entire ground was covered with well-trimmed grass, save for a cobbled pathway leading to the main house. Small rock ponds littered across corners of the grounds in which various fishes could be seen thriving well, which were looked over by trees small and large. As they entered the main building, they saw that for the sole heir of a loaded clan like the Uzumakis, Naruto apparently had very simple tastes. The insides were simple and moderately sophisticated. Unlike the Gremri and the Citries, who preferred to live in huge towering castles with all the modern amenities in the underworld. Passing through the halls, they also saw a glimpse of the sole heirloom Naruto possessed from the elemental nations, his mother's signature katana, the Crimson Ruin, encased in a glass box on a shelf. Naruto had used it during his time in Anbu, but didn't see the need to use it anymore. So it just sat there, now spending its time as a showpiece rather than the weapon of terror it was known for. It was truly a work of beauty. It had been crafted by his mother and her grandfather while Yuzu was still standing. The blade, originally obsidian black in color, which was molded from the densest chakra metal found in the mines of Yuzu, now had gained a blood-red tint to it due to Kushina channeling Kyuubi's chakra through it during her fights. If one looked closely, they could see the thousands and thousands of black seal markings drawn along its edge. Those seals kept the blade sharpened at all times on their own, eliminating the possibility of metal contamination by a cheap whetstone. The hilt, which was made of bronze, had leather wrappings all around. At its base was the largest known ruby in all of the 5 hidden continents, carved on which was the signature Uzumaki spiral. Naruto had taken the liberty of adding Kurama's face here, so now it looked like the Kyuubi with 2 glowing embers for eyes and a red inferno in his mouth. Truly, a weapon befitting a princess and her son, Kiba, who had a sword fetish of sorts, drooled just at the sight of it. Rias and Sona too looked intrigued. The training area is just around that corner, on the left. You may proceed, I'll join you guys soon enough. With that, Koike disappeared in one of the rooms. As everybody else walked ahead, Rias asked Sona, "Why are you masking your presence, Sona?" It was a valid question, but Sona gave no reply, instead focusing on hiding her presence even more. She wanted to find out exactly how good Uzumaki and his peerage were, and so the group moved without making a sound. They arrived at the training area, which was an open grassy field, littered by target logs and training dummies. Almost all of his peerage was present. Shikamaru and Temari sat in a corner together, engrossed in a game of chess. Tenten and Sakura sparred together, teaming up on Lee. Ino sat together with Tsuneari and Shizen, going over a pile of scrolls for medical ninjutsu, while Choji and Sai were giving company to Team 8, who were busy in their own training. All of them wore the exact same clothing, black sleeveless t-shirts with camouflage pants. All except Naruto, of course. Naruto was busy in the central part of the clearing, sparring with Kakashi. He was, of course, shirtless. His shirt had already been torn through the middle when he had been distracted enough for a stray kunai to find its mark. They had decided on straight-up weapons and taijutsu spar. No ninjutsu. And it was quite visible, by the slight sheen of sweat that went down both of their bodies, the beads glinting like diamonds under the light of late evening dusk. Almost every girl in the group blushed heavily on seeing the scene before them. He had a body carved out of marble, with muscles to rival a Greek god. That, combined with his spiky reddish blonde hair and cerulean blue eyes, made him look almost like a replica of his father, Minato Namikaze. What was happening in front of them wasn't just a friendly fight. It was more like a dance. A deadly dance which involved trying to kill your opponent, it seemed. None in the audience knew they weren't going all out. Kakashi threw another kunai at blinding speeds at Naruto's chest, and the blade was able to graze a thin line of blood across. Sona gasped at seeing this, but sat transfixed as the wound healed upon itself with a hiss. "Looks like I drew the final blood of Naruto," Kakashi said between heaving breaths with a smirk behind his mask. Ria's eyes inadvertently went up to Naruto's chest, where a deep scar showed, almost as if someone had shoved a fist through his chest where his heart was. Come to think of it, almost everybody in his peerage had deep scars and marks on their body at various places where a normal deep injury would probably mean death. Suddenly, both of them disappeared from their view in flashes of orange and blue, and suddenly appeared behind Rias and Sona. Both of them had a kunai poised directly at their throats, though it was the blunt edge. Shinobi Tactics Rule 1, Kakashi began. "Magic reserves aren't the only thing you should learn to hide, Sona-chan," Naruto said in a husky voice from behind her that it sent a hot breath down her exposed neck and made her suddenly go weak in the knees. "I didn't even sense them move," Rias thought in amazement and wonder. By now everyone else had already gathered around the two female devils and their peerages. Once everyone got comfortable, Naruto spoke. "All right then. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. There are things that have started to stir up in the underworld and out here in the human realm that will have far-reaching consequences. Considering the seriousness of the situation, Surzek-san and Serafal-san have allowed us to train both of your peerages. I'll be blunt here. All of you have been sheltered for far too long and have grown soft. Something like that is completely unacceptable, at least by our standards. We will grind each one of you to the ground, break you, shatter you, and will build you up from scratch once again, only to repeat this process, only 1,000 times harder. While you are in this compound, you are trainees under our command, nothing more and nothing less. The titles you hold in the outside world mean absolute jackshit to me here. During these sessions, you will come to loathe and scorn us, hate us even, but you will come out stronger and better," Kakashi said. "He is using the Anbu speech," Sakura whispered to Ino. "I can't wait to see how he breaks them apart." Ino replied giddily. Naruto was the last to speak up. "Boys and girls, welcome to hell." And with the same shit-eating grin he had on his face whenever he was about to pull a prank, he added, "You are going to love it." Everyone took a dry gulp and nodded. This did not look like it was going to end well. True to Kakashi's words, the training sessions had been, in one word, pure and utter hell. Rias had not been pushed so far to the limits by one man up until now. She had to resort to teaming up with Sona and Akino to attack him, and even then they barely made a scratch on him. And this all happened when he wasn't fighting back. When he started retaliating, let's just say that there were parts of Sona's body that she didn't even know could hurt that were in pain right now. Naruto himself knew how much of a slave driver his former sensei could be, so he asked Sakura and Ino to heal both of the girls and their peerage the best they could. As an added bonus, he even treated both of their peerages to dinner. This brings us to the current situation. Naruto sat together with Rias, Sona and their peerages, while they had dinner. Both the girls had chanced upon this opportunity to learn about the mysterious Uzumaki. "So Naruto-kun, why choose Ko Academy? I mean, there are a lot of other high schools around, so why Ko specifically?" Sona also had the same question in her mind. Being president to the student council, she had access to all of the student files. She had seen his as well, and it showed a fairly decent academic record along with a heavy financial backdrop. He could have chosen any grade A school in almost all of Japan, so why Ko specifically? She didn't know that all the documents were forged though. "You see, Rias-chan, where I was educated before coming here, We did not have a strong emphasis on academic education. Naruto replied, trying to reveal as much as possible while hiding the truth. So I decided to start somewhere fairly new. Also, when I met up with your brother before arriving here, he told me this was the Devil's Stronghold. Better to start on familiar territory, eh? He asked with a light chuckle at the end. So what about you two? Any specific reasons for attending Ko Academy? My family is one of the main financial backers of this school. So it was a no-brainer that I ended up here. She tried to say it with pride, but Naruto could see the underlying hint of sadness and exhaustion in it. Phew. Sounds like your family is one of those filthy rich and uptight types, Rias-chan. That is not even the worst part. Everybody expects me to act like the proper heiress of the Gremory clan. My entire life has been based around being a Gremory. No one, apart from some of my close friends, has bothered to find out about the real Rias. Everyone knows Rias Gremory, heir to the Gremory clan, sister of the current Lucifer, but nobody bothers to find about Rias Gremory, high schooler, or Rias Gremory, anime fanatic. People see you for what you are, not who you are. They have an image of you in their mind and choose to stick to it rather than to know the real you. Naruto said in a somber undertone. Rias was actually surprised. It sounded like Naruto had gone through what she was going through as well. If so, how had he conquered it? How had he become the young man he was today? She wanted to know, she really wanted to know. But before she could question him further, Naruto changed the topic. Apparently it was a sore issue for him as well. Anyway, I don't care what anyone else thinks. To me you will always be Rias-chan. Really? Rias asked, with a slight blush on her face. Yep. Rias-chan, the only girl in history to have ever received a Senin Goroshi from Kakashi-sensei's shadow clone. He added with a laugh. Rias' entire face went red as steam started coming out of her ears while she remembered the humiliating incident. Meanwhile, Kakashi shouted from the other end of the table as Shizen directed her righteous female fury on him. It wasn't my fault. They have a mind of their own, I swear. Naruto laughed it off and turned to Sona and asked, So what about you, Sona-chan? Any specific reason to study at Ko Academy? Besides making Shikamaru suffer, of course. Mendokus. Sona once again glared at Shikamaru and began. My aim is to study and observe how humans interact with each other. I wish to open a rating game school for all races, be it devils, yokai, or even reincarnated humans. Rias let out an unnatural cough which surprisingly sounded like Struck-up Sensei. An admirable goal. Naruto nodded in agreement. You think I could do it? Sona asked in almost disbelief. Why not, Sona-chan? Naruto asked. Let me tell you this. No goal is too large to accomplish for anyone. All you need is guts and the will to never give up. I'll even help you along, just you ask for it. Sona smiled towards the blonde and nodded, the fact taking place deep in her heart that there was someone out there who believed in her. Someone who did not consider her goal as unachievable. And so the conversation continued late into the night, even after the dinner had been cleared away. They shared stories of their childhood. Naruto told them about a few of his funnier missions and the pranks he pulled on the village when he was younger. They might have known each other for only a few weeks, but they talked as if they were childhood friends. By the time everyone got up to leave, it was already night time. Naruto offered to show them the way out. Standing outside the great wooden doors, Naruto was talking to Rias and Sona before they left. This was great, Naruto-kun. We should do this sometime again. Rias said as Sona nodded in agreement. Sure, Rias-chan, drop by any time you wish. Same for you, Sona-chan. I will keep that in mind, thank you, Naruto-kun. Both the heiresses hugged the blonde goodbye. Akino even sneaked a little peck on the cheek for him. About which Rias and surprisingly Sona looked miffed. As they departed, both of the girls thought the same thing, how easily they had dropped their guards around him so easily. How they had talked, not as three high-class devils of the underworld, but rather as three friends. It was the start of a friendship that would soon blossom into something more. Years later, when someone would ask them when exactly they started falling for Naruto Uzumaki, they would probably reply on this exact day, when he started training them and invited them over for dinner. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoy it. If you want the next video, turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. And also check out the others' videos. I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video.